Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Smash or Pass with JayBee,
Hey,
me Milly, and of course Smash.
Hello.
So in today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at Scooby Doo and the Goblin King. Now, for JayBee and I, this was like first ever time seeing this movie. So these were all initial impressions. As always, I feel like Smash, you're going to have seen this one a few times.
Oh, yes.
So for those of you that maybe haven't seen this for a little while, or like JayBee and I have just never seen it before, I would literally describe this as like the Halloween spooktacular of Scooby Doo thus far. It is perfect for like Halloween. We're going to come on to the music in a minute, but like for a Halloween playlist, there's some must-haves here, I think, personally. And it's all about Scooby and Shaggy, really. Like, it's Halloween and they end up at the store where they're trying to trick or treat, and they get to see into the future, and they see they see that like Velma, Daphne and Fred are all transforming into these creatures as a result of this like evil wizard, and they decide that they're going to put a stop to it. So they go off on their mission where they meet fairies, they meet witches. It's certainly an out there one for Scooby Doo, admittedly. Certainly different, but ultimately they like brave everything and save the day, which for them's really impressive. Like, I think there's certainly a different side to them in this. So that's kind of all I have to say with the plot. Did I miss anything? I know that was a very, very brief
I didn't know that was the plot. I was kind of confused, but I guess it gets the gist. You know, we're on a Shaggy and Scooby misadventure, and there's some mystical stuff going on. I like it. I dig it. I can dig it a lot.
To me, it was just like, I don't know, I found the plot difficult for this one. Like, for me, it was just a series of things happening that I couldn't necessarily put into a plot. It's just...
I mean, I think the intro describes the movie separately in and of itself, whereas we enter immediately on a roller coaster, and I think that's what this movie is. Like, it goes everywhere, absolutely everywhere. I
mean, yeah, starting with the intro, I think it was really good. Like, to me, that ride, I almost got the vibe that it was kind of... It could have almost been like a montage of their mysteries, like a Scooby Doo theme park.
Yeah.
Either that or, you know, the ride from Spooky Island, if that had been working, because obviously that was like a series of creepy things happening as well.
Yeah, I agree. And it to me, it seemed very classic. That's what I will say. So we had the quick title reveal, like we were like 2 seconds in, and it said Scooby Doo and the Goblin King. So like, chill out. The titles aren't really left for suspense. They just flash right up on the screen. But for some reason, maybe Smash might know how I've linked these color palettes or something to classic Scooby Doo, but instantly the color of the entire opening sequence, I'm thinking, this is like something from the original show. I'm getting so many nostalgic feelings for this, and yet I've never seen the film before.
Yeah, there is a moment in this where I'm a bit like, maybe not the original shows, but there is one moment when I'm like, I can link this to Zombie Island quite heavily right now. Obviously, we're going to come on to what that was, but it did seem to just go back a little bit to classic.
Yeah, and I think with this, unlike the other shows or the other episodes where we've been familiar with the films, I think Smash is gonna very much be our guides for this movie at this point. So I think I'm gonna try my best to let Smash lead with this episode, and I'm gonna hopefully do my best to say my piece, because I've got a lot to say about this, but I know that I'm just gonna go off on so many tangents.
I mean, what did you think to the intro, Smash? Did you enjoy it?
Okay, so I just told you guys before we started recording, I didn't rewatch this one just because I've seen this one a lot. Definitely one that I know a lot more than others. But I did rewatch the intro real quick before we started recording, just because I was like, I want to be a little brushed up on the intro for a minute. And again, it feels very like we've had recently. At least to me, it felt like, you know, when I was younger, it felt like, you know, any other Scooby movie intro. It felt very long and stuff. But then just rewatching it, I was like, whoa, that was actually way faster than I remember at all. But I think what makes this one a lot more fun is that it seems more interactive with the gang as they're riding the roller coaster. So, you know, like, it might hang on credits for a second, but then all of a sudden the gang are going by and you're like, whoa, you know? So it's like, this one doesn't, it doesn't really have any slow moments, or it really keeps your attention through the credits because, you know, as soon as you're about to, like, look away, the gang all of a sudden is riding by in their cart.
Yeah, like, I don't know, I feel like I thought that the titles were a good length, like, they really weren't too long, but also, like, it wasn't like okay, we're gonna do this art style for the intro, because it just fed into the story straight away. It was, they were on the ride, this is why they were on the ride kind of thing. It wasn't like, for example, I think the one I'm thinking of off the top of my head is maybe like Chill Out Scooby Doo, where we saw some like artifacts and stuff and we were a bit like, what's this about? Whereas this was directly correlated to the movie starting.
Yeah, and this also, while you were saying that, made me think this is the first one, at least in a while, that wasn't a cold open.
Yeah, it was.
You know, we led right into the gang.
I can't think of the last time that happened. Okay, well, see, would you call the opening of Zombie Island a cold open? Because it's nothing to do with the story in terms of the overall zombiness, but it is also featuring the gang.
I was thinking The Witch's Ghost is after that, and for all that starts with a mystery, it's not necessarily a cold open.
You know what? How does The Witch's Ghost start?
It's like the stage mystery by Ben Ravencroft.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess that's more of a setup than a cold open, and it does factor into the ending, so...
Anyway, back to this one. So we've talked about the intro. One thing that I picked up on straight away, which I'm actually shocked JayBee didn't, there was a new outfit for Daphne that I can't remember being part of any shows. I don't know why. Like, did it change in the shows for a little while here?
Which one?
Yeah, I'm impressed you caught on to that, Millie.
Yeah, JayBee didn't, and you know, like how he is. But I was like, this is different. This is definitely different. It's like exactly the same shapes, it's exactly the same colors, but there's like one line missing.
Yeah, that's literally all they did was take the strap that went all the way down from her shoulder across her chest and down to her torso. They just took that out and turned it into a V-neck.
Me gusta.
So did that change in like the TV shows for a while, or does that just happen for this movie? Because I don't remember ever seeing it.
Yeah, just this movie and the next, and that's it.
I mean, is the next movie
Samurai Sword?
No.
Oh.
Well, I think it is Samurai Sword, but is it supernatural? Because I was almost gonna like put my tinfoil hat on and say, because this was so supernatural, did they want a little visual cue that it might be in an alternate universe? But I think that's just too far-fetched, maybe.
Yeah, the next one is kind of a mix. There's a supernatural... I guess in a way, it doesn't play out the same way as Witch's Ghost, but I guess you could say it's kind of like Witch's Ghost, where there's like an unmasking and then a real supernatural threat.
Okay, so... Again, I'm very impressed with that, Millie. Like, I just don't pick up stuff like this. I just think I was so caught up in the moment because it starts with like a lightning bolt on the classic colours, and I'm like, wow, okay. I like this a lot, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
And like we're saying, it's so long since we started with a cold open, and this one I do think is quite light-hearted. Like, you know when they're doing the apple bobbing thing, the Scooby moment there when he just looks up with like 50 apples in his face. I just find it so funny.
And is there an Easter egg around that part as well? Because he like sticks his head in the cotton candy machine and then he like licks it off his face, like the opening of the original.
Yeah.
So again, and this is what I wanted to ask. So I was reminded about the intro of the original with the lightning bolt and the color palette, and also that visual cue to the with the cotton candy scene. I was almost thinking that this actually felt a little bit like a celebration movie for a minor anniversary. I mean, it was 2008, I think. So was that an anniversary year of any kind, or was it just me being weird?
No, it would have been the next year, would have been an anniversary year, because Scooby aired first in 1969. There's no real official say of like any of this, but it could be that it was in part some sort of like celebration of Hanna-Barbera because, after this movie, both the original creators had passed away at this point. And I think one of the reasons it's really reminding you of original Scooby is back in 2019, they released the original Scooby Doo Where Are You series on Blu-ray for the first time in this like 50th anniversary set. And watching it on Blu-ray, the original series, because it's very cleaned up and polished and HD, so to say, and whatever. It really makes it so you can see what they were originally intending for the show to look like, and the backgrounds of the original show were dark, and that way the characters stood out so much. And I think that's what happens here because this whole movie takes place in one night, and so like the backgrounds are very dark, whereas the characters are so bright.
Yeah, I just think it really is good visually. Like JayBee was saying, it does kind of take you back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, something that JayBee's picked up on, and I think it's quite prominent again here, like he was asking if this is a celebration. There seems to be a pattern sometimes where if there's a movie that we're all a bit like, not too sure about that one, the next one quite often just like, it's like a game changer. Like, Chill Out Scooby Doo, I know JayBee and I particularly were like, I'm not sure, like, maybe this missed the mark. There's a lot I didn't like about this, and this. And going into this one, within, like, the first few minutes, we were like, this has got our attention. Yeah. Like, we're only, like, at the first scene, and by this point, we're a bit like, okay, this has got our attention, this is different.
I agree.
Like, he said it's almost sometimes like they're like, we know we've got a big movie coming up, but we know we need to fill in the year before first. So let's do something a bit lower budget, and then we're going to do the big one the next year. Like, it does seem to have a little bit of a knock-on effect, I think you spotted.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It definitely does have that. Just looking back, I can't think of examples. I would say Monster of Mexico maybe took some hits to make Loch Ness better, or maybe it's just a coincidence. And again, I'm seeing the same thing with Where's My Mummy making Pirates Ahoy, one that I liked, and equally Chill Out making this movie that I'm very much enjoying so far.
It did seem like that pattern. I mean, is that something you've ever felt, smASH?
Not particularly, at least from when they've been releasing. But there are times when I guess you almost can feel that they like either have more ambition or have more fun with one than another. Like, sometimes it almost feels like they were told to make and some they wanted to make for the fun of it. Like this one, I feel like is totally one that they wanted to do. They had the idea, they were like, let's roll with it. This is going to be so much fun to do all this wacky Halloween mystery, movie and whatever. Whereas, maybe Chill Out was like, you need a snow movie. And they were like, okay, I guess we'll work on this while on the side we're having a lot of fun with this Halloween one coming up type of thing.
Yeah. Almost like someone's got a really clear idea, but then they also need to scramble one together. So it's like everybody contributes a lot of things and it's about piecing it all together. I don't know, like I said that about the titles of Chill Out when there was like some artifact that looked quite like, I don't know, quite like imperial themes, and then it's like, okay, now we've got the snow, and some of it I just felt it was a bit disjointed, almost like a lot of people worked on it. Like, I know we said not long after Zombie Island, you could really tell that a lot of people had some influence. Whereas this was one of the movies where I was like, I just feel like they were like, I trust you, you've got this vision, go.
Yeah, right? And that's, like, the next one, I don't want to jump to conclusions for the next movies yet, but I will say, I kind of feel like this trend follows along for the next few. Like the next movie after this is, at least for me, a one, but then the one following that is like, yes, really good one. So we'll see how long this kind of keeps going.
This is so strange, isn't it? Okay, so the first character we meet is that evil magician, and I feel like for any animal lover in the world or any Scooby fan in the world, you take an instant dislike to this character.
No dogs allowed.
By him and like no dogs allowed, I feel like the entire audience was like, you can't do that to Scooby. This is his movie. You don't belong here.
Yeah, it's like
so
the Krudsky.
Before we get too far with Krudsky, I just wanted to bring up, this is kind of a fun, like, little, I don't know, reference connection to how the three of us met. Because the amazing Krudsky is voiced by Wayne Knight, who was in the original Jurassic Park movie.
Wayne Knight? Who does Wayne Knight play?
He's the one that stole the DNA samples and then ended up being spit on by the dinosaur.
That was his name, Dennis Snurdine?
Yeah.
Oh, that's legit. You know, I think I found a Funko Pop of one of them online the other day.
Are you feeling a little bit bad for hating them now?
Well, I didn't hate them. I just was like, what do you mean no dogs allowed? Like, dogs are the most wholesome creatures in the world, and if you've got an aggressive dog, I reckon it's just because, like, the owner's a bit of poop. Like, I don't know, like, I'm a bit biased towards dogs. It would take a lot to make me hate a dog. And I don't think it's how, like, even reading Cujo by Stephen King, I'm like, yeah, go for it.
You are really good with animals. Like, the first time you met my sister's dog, you just fell on the floor in front of it. And we're all like, what are you doing?
Don't
and
say it like that. I didn't just collapse.
You just need to, like, bring it down to their level so they understand you. And you literally just saw this dog and more or less fell on the floor.
No, this dog was like a bit aggressive.
It was like I was just trying to connect, like, you know, you just bring yourself to their level,
and it worked.
And you're fine.
Eventually, it worked. We're on good terms, me and that dog now. So it did work. But yeah, this Krudsky guy, that's actually a really cool fact, because I was looking through the guest list, you know, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I always like doing research on who the guest stars are. So last movie, I was really impressed that they had Alfred Molina being one of the villains there. And here there's some really big names. You've got Hayden Panettiere from Heroes, and I don't know the name, like, shamefully enough, I've forgotten the name, but later on we'll have, I only know them as the T-Rex from Toy Story, and I think they're in The Princess Bride. But
yeah, that is Wallace Shawn.
Yes. So
see, again though, we're seeing that this movie was just a level up.
I mean, I don't know, when did Heroes air? Because I think Hayden was fully, like, elevated by that show, so I don't know how far into her career she was doing this movie, but it you know, if it wasn't a big deal then, it's quite a big deal now.
Yeah. I mean, still on the, like, Krudsky thing, I love that Scooby and Shaggy were like, okay, I'm not taking that, I'm gonna go wreck the show. Like,
I kind of didn't like that.
Oh, instantly, I was like, do you know what? I know that, like, I am not the target audience for this movie. I'm like 24, I think.
And you hate
know my own age. Like, yeah, I've never been a fan of animals. I've always been scared of them. As a child, I was never allowed to watch animated stuff because my mum just didn't like animated movies. I am by far not the target audience for this, but as soon as they did that, I have never been more on side with Scooby and Shaggy. I was like, yes! Like, because obviously you told us that this movie is going to be like a side quest of them, and I was like dreading it, and the second they did that, I was like, okay, it's fine. You're great. I'm entertained.
But this is what I don't like. That, like, I don't know that they'd be that mean-spirited, because, like, they're like fully just taking revenge. And for all the guy is a, oh, I actually nearly used a bad word. Then he's a bit of a poop head. Like, this is how this guy makes a living. He might be a bad person, but, like, I don't know how much this guy's income supposedly is, but they fully expose his entire act to the point where he's most likely I mean, obviously there's, factors besides that, but if he was not a villainous character, he would have just been unemployed just because he's told the dog that he wasn't allowed to come to a show.
But to be fair, like, if you make your entire living by interacting with people, then don't put them against you. You need to be nice. If these people are there and they're going to be, like, their money's going to be how you survive, then you need to show a bit more respect than shouting at a dog the first time you ever meet it. But if Scooby and Shaggy could have applied some of their knowledge in this, like, oh, trapdoor, we've seen that, like, just lift this off the table, it's nothing. Like, apply this to the first 50 mysteries you've done and you wouldn't have been screaming the entire time. Like, how is it you can see this now?
It's like Ultra Instinct.
And then, like, the first, like, 150 Scooby movies are, like, episodes and stuff that's happened before this point that they're like, I'm so scared, I'm so scared. We get to this and they're like, it's all fake. And I guess we saw that on Pirates Ahoy as well. And then in the future ones, they revert to being scared, and it's like, no, come on, you did this. We've seen you do this. You know this is fake.
I mean, what I love about the setup of this movie is that it's actually, the reason why maybe is that they're like more brave because it's Halloween, so they're like, this is the one day of the year that we know everything's fake.
Yeah.
So I really did like that because it's such a twist on things that I really do like. And also as well, one thing that could be easing them into the situation is that we're told specifically that they're at Coolsville, so maybe being somewhere that isn't new, that isn't fresh, you'd have to assume that they've maybe been here in childhood or something, that they're a bit more familiar with things.
Yeah.
So all that I really like. So, Smash, what is your first, I guess, impression, or what was your first impression of Krudsky?
At first, I definitely was annoyed with him. But, it's one of those hard things because it's like, okay, well, yes, like, sure, Scooby got his whole outfit wet. That's unfortunate, but then it's like, okay, but Krudsky could have reacted to that better than yelling at him and then being like, yeah, you're not allowed to my show. So he annoyed me at first, but then I have to say, like, I really like how they kind of turned him into the villain, like how that sort of started to make his anger so much that he had to go to extremes. And I mean, we did get a little backstory that he's like been trying to find real magic for so long and stuff. But I don't know. First impressions, he annoyed me, but I like how it developed his villainy, I guess.
Yeah. I do think it's a good character. He's certainly a good villain.
Yeah.
And I feel like the thing when you're telling a story is, it's if somebody doesn't have any emotion towards a character, then that's when they failed. Like, with the villain in the last one, it was a case of, not this person's suspicious, not I don't like this person. Like, there's no one left. They've talked about every character. Oh, no, there was one character. Who are they again? Like, that's when it's not good, when you don't care about a character. Like, I will sit here and say I actively completely dislike this character, but they did well with that. Like, if you can evoke hatred, you've not made a bad character, you've made a very good character.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, and you see that all the time with just characters on, like, there's characters that you hate and then there's characters you love to hate, and I think Krudsky for the most part is a person to dislike, although I kind of do stand by the fact that it probably was somewhat overkill ruining the guy's career, but I don't know, you love to see it in a certain
It's overkill, but like, you can't, like, to shout at a dog for doing that, like, surely a child could have made the same mistake where they, like, fell over and dropped their drink and it went on him, or like it's just his careers to be nice to people. Like, it's how he makes his living. He needs to do that.
Yeah.
I have to say though, I kind of do appreciate, because like for me, you know, with how much Scooby Doo I watch, and I guess how much Scooby evolves and changes and does things, you sometimes forget that he's a dog at times, and so I kind of like moments of this where he's like, no dogs allowed, and you know, you're kind of like, oh yeah, Scooby is a legitimate dog.
Yeah, but at the same time, because you don't feel that way, like, it just doesn't seem that way. Like, when he first said it, I was like, you can't say that. Like, who do you think you're talking to?
Dogs are people too.
Not even that. It's just that, like, they're there with every characteristic.
Yeah, like, who are you talking to? This is Scooby Doo.
I don't know, like, they talk, they show all these emotions. They are like so intelligent when they need to be. We saw them like, in the Alien Invasion. I always get Invasion and Invaders the wrong way around with that movie. But like, you know, there's the Crystal and Amber stuff, and it's just like, no. You know, they exist in their own right. They are just as compelling as any kind of fully built character. Like, stop. Yeah,
like if you can have an intergalactic relationship, you kind of qualify as a being within your own right. That's my rule. So where are we now?
I think they were about to start trick-or-treating, so they have the Halloween outfits, and I don't know, like when I saw them in the Halloween outfits, I was just a bit like, Velma makes a really cute pumpkin. I don't know why, but
I'll say this, Daphne's cat outfit, 10 out of 10, and that's all I'm gonna say.
See, I was trying to be like humble, like, you know, look at the cute pumpkin.
Did you like this version of her cat outfit over Pirates Ahoy?
I mean, I definitely do, because the Pirates Ahoy one is kind of sweet. It reminds me of like Mario 3D World. You know, I can just imagine her like climbing up the walls and like battling Bowser. This I don't, no comment. This is what I'm gonna say. Like,
this is the sexy version.
Yeah, kind of like what's the reference I'm thinking of? One of the old Batman, was it Halle Berry in that movie?
Oh yeah,
it gives me kind of those vibes. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then literally, and this isn't me being weird, I do think for a Halloween movie it should have maybe lingered on this a bit more, but they wear the outfits for like one 2-minute scene and then they're gone, and it's like, what happened? Like, why did this happen? Why on Halloween night did they pause, change back into like civilian outfits, and then go out again to start enjoying Halloween more?
I mean, I'm gonna say it's maybe to show a level between them and Scooby and Shaggy. Like, Scooby and Shaggy are like changing costumes, knocking on the doors, getting as much candy as they can. Whereas I feel like you get the vibe that and we see it a lot, that they kind of almost come across as older.
Well, I agree.
And so it's kind of like, okay, we've done this once, fun's over.
But then are we to assume that Fred, Daphne and Velma spent money and time preparing a Halloween costume for one lot of trick-or-treating?
Yeah, but if you want to apply logic, then it's like, are we to assume that Shaggy and Scooby spent all that time and money on one outfit per house? Because they change for every house.
For candy, I think they would do quite a lot. I wouldn't say it was out of character for them to like go crazy trying to get.
I could understand it if they were just like returning to the same house, trying to be different people and get more candy that way. But like, to just be going to different houses and changing the outfit every time.
But yeah,
it's one where you can forgive like logic. It's just enjoyable.
I would like to petition for more cat Daphne. That's what I'm gonna do.
And I think Velma should have stayed a pumpkin because she starts to get annoying.
No, I mean the pumpkin was sweet, and it just reminded me of so many of the Halloween specials that I used to really like as a kid. Like, it gave me almost vibes of like the old recess Halloweens and stuff. Like, I'm kind of in my element with Halloween at the moment. It was never my favourite holiday at all. For years and years and years, I just didn't celebrate it.
And then you met me.
But yeah, honestly, I love Halloween so much, and I'm just in my element. I'm vibing.
Like, yeah, he'd never celebrated Halloween once, and then we met, and it was like the first Halloween, and I was like, so are we decorating then? And he was like, you what? I was like, it's Halloween. And he was like, yeah, what of it? I was like, no, like, what are you doing? We need the decorations, come on, like, let's go to the store. It was just like, you're weird if you celebrate this. And I was like, just give it a chance. And like, I found like Halloween pasta in the shapes of bats. I like did like this entire like special like Halloween dinner. We decorated the house. We made like a Halloween playlist. And it's like, yeah, it's not that bad, you know.
Pumpkin carving.
Yeah, pumpkin carving. We carved like 3 pumpkins each that year.
You know, I'm going to find a photo of the pumpkins we carved and I'm going to put it in the description. I'm going to post it on Twitter because the difference is hilarious. You've got Milly making this, like, sick demon thing and then I'm just here with some, like...
Yeah, you were like, can I use cocktail sticks to, like, make this stick back on? Because I accidentally cut it off. Like, no, JayBee.
I made an abomination.
Yeah. I have never been a fan of Halloween. Like, I've celebrated my family and whatever, and especially here in the US, we celebrate like crazy. But I've never loved Halloween, could never get into it. I started to a little bit in high school because I was part of this youth council, which is kind of like a volunteering type thing. We'd help out the community and whatever, and we did a like a haunted house thing for Halloween that people could come through, and I was part of that. But anyway, yeah, I still don't love Halloween. Like, I could go on without celebrating it, but my girlfriend Mariah, she definitely really enjoys Halloween, so you know, I try to have a good spirit about it. But oh my gosh, I can definitely feel the same way because we did we carved pumpkins one year. Actually, we did it on a video because it was well, we did the whole video because my friend was proposing, so it was a whole setup for the proposal. But I had to laugh because yeah, Mariah makes this like great Oogie Boogie carving of, you know, from Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'm trying to do a simple Scooby Doo's dog collar, you know, SD, and it comes out so stupid, and she's like, oh, look what I did, it's just a simple little thing, and I'm like, yeah, shut up.
Wow, that's vibes. Like, I don't know.
I'm like getting flashbacks to when we made the gingerbread houses then as well.
There's so many occasions where that happened, but
he just didn't celebrate anything. Like, his like whenever there was any event like Halloween or Christmas, his parents were just like, oh, you know,
I celebrate
we'll just go away. And whereas I was always like at home for the event, so it was like, we need to decorate this way, we need to like get all this stuff in to celebrate this way. And so it was like, okay, you've got a lot to learn now, JayBee.
I do have to ask this. smASH, have you ever done like any Scooby Doo related Halloween costume at all?
Yeah, so I mean, again, we celebrate like crazy here, even though I don't love it. And I actually don't love dressing up, to be completely honest. Like, I think that's another reason I really don't enjoy Halloween. I just don't care to dress up at all. But yeah, when I was younger, my mom would always like dress me up because we did stuff at school. Like, if Halloween fell on a weekday, the schools would do stuff, and so it was like, oh, dress up, but you don't want to be the only one not dressing up. And so like my mom would always, okay, you gotta, you know, have a costume. And like one year I was Sully from Monsters Inc. I've been a vampire. I did a really simple one year because I didn't care about it. I just had black pants and like put a bunch of the candy Smarties all over my pants, and I was Smarty Pants, ha ha ha. Anyway, but in more recent,
more like a Scooby Doo onesie or something for like Halloween.
Well, so in more recent years, I do like a little Shaggy type dress up thing for Halloween and just carry around one of my Scooby stuffed animals and stuff.
That's quite cute.
I love that.
That is good.
I used to have this, like, I don't know what to call it, like a jumpsuit or something, but it was Scooby Doo, but Scooby had a cape on and vampire fangs. And so I just run around in that until it, like, I don't know. I think I let it get rancid because I just didn't wash it. I just wore it every year on Halloween and just ran around in it. And I'm sad now. I wish I still had that, but...
You probably do. You keep everything.
I know, but my parents just clear stuff out and it isn't necessary. Like, just stop. Don't ever... That's my motto. If something's been thrown out, it shouldn't be. Unless it's, like, just garbage, like you've eaten a banana and the peel needs to be chucked away. But, like, keep stuff. Like, I've got boxes from toys in the basement that...
You no longer actually have the toys. They broke and you've just kept every box you've ever owned.
And just look. I think there's some items that I've actually done the world of good with because of that. Like, but what about, I mean, Milly, see, you didn't really seem like the dressing up type. You know, you had like this annual like dressing up festival.
Yeah, I used to dress up so much as a child. Like, so not only at Halloween, but as JayBee was saying, there's like a festival in the town where I'm from called Regatta, and it's like a 3-day celebration. So
Are you technically doxing yourself with that?
No, I don't think so. So on the Saturday, I don't live there anymore, it's fine. On the Saturday, there's like rowing races. On the Sunday, there's like these little competitions like Glamorous Granny, Beautiful Baby, all this kind of stuff. And then Monday, there's like rides all down the pier and stalls and food stalls and just so much stuff. And there's like a parade that takes place where you walk throughout the town in these outfits as a child. Like every child in the town from the ages of 3 to 12 did it. And you walk around the town in these little costumes, and then you get to the main like hall thing. And at the hall, there's like the mayor and all this kind of stuff. It sounds so old-fashioned. But there's like the mayor and everybody there, and they like judge the costumes and like award winners for like different categories, like the most original costume, the most funny costume. So there was that. Then 3 weeks later, my grand's part of this like gardening club that always had I think it's called a fete in like this garden, and there was a dressing up like competition there. So I used to dress up for that. Then Halloween, and then every Christmas I have like that Mrs. Claus dress thing. So yeah.
I mean that first part sounded like a black and white film.
I just dressed up a lot.
So yeah,
I know. My neighborhood where I used to live, where my parents live, was very like a family neighborhood, and so Halloween was like the Halloween movies that you would see, just kids everywhere running around, whatever. And we had this one guy in the neighborhood where he owned a couple of horses, and so every year for Halloween he would pull out one of his horses and just walk around the neighborhood as the Headless Horseman. It was really fun.
That's amazing. See, it just seems like you're from a really interesting place. You're like, where I'm from, like every Halloween falls at, they have 2 events a year, and both of them are marketed and called Goth Weekend. And so like people in like these amazing outfits like just flock to the town. You can't, like, they close some of the roads just because there's that many people. And so like Halloween's big just from tourists, and then like the locals get involved with that too. Like my mum, my sister, I have pictures of both of them wearing like these witches costumes for Halloween. It's big.
Oh, I'm surprised that you and your older sister and your mum never went as the Sanderson sisters.
I always thought that I was too cool to be associated. Like they were there with like the full on like, I don't know, like, you know, that like thin material that's quite plasticky that a lot of Halloween costumes are made from. They were in like those just like
PVC.
No,
I was like, whoa.
Not plasticky like that. Like,
oh, yeah.
I want to say some of the materials what tents are made out of.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Like almost canvasy, thin canvasy.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, they had like these like really weird like dresses that were just a bit tacky. Whereas like I was more just like, okay, I don't need that. I always tried to just like be more cool.
Yeah.
I took myself very seriously as a teenager.
But I guess going back to the film, but then no, it's important to have these kind of conversations. This is a Halloween movie, and so it's always important to gauge where the people are at in terms of celebrating it or not, because that could be like a make or break factor potentially. But where my notes are on to now is we're in like Krudski's tent. But if I've missed anything, please feel free to let me know.
Yeah, I feel like I'm done with my notes from Krudski's tent, I think.
Are you done with that? Like
no. Sorry, yeah. It's because I've gone straight on to talking about Tinkerbell references.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But my first thought from Krudski's tent was trying to connect things back, because Tim Curry's in this movie. That spell book does look a tiny bit like Sarah Ravencroft's book. So I don't know. I kind of want to connect them. I think it's impossible, but it does. There were similarities.
I'm gonna look it up now. You got me curious.
They're like both kind of, they're kind of cliche in looks. They're like brown leather-bound books, but I think the big difference is maybe the skull on the cover of Sarah Ravencroft's book is a bit more exacerbated. So Sarah Ravencroft's book, and again they go to a different dimension, and I forget where Ben Ravencroft and Sarah Ravencroft were sucked into at the end of that, but it could have transformed them. Like, I honestly don't know. I'm just trying to... Yeah, I can't really find any pictures, but there are some similarities there.
I believe you.
See, I guess, I don't know, whenever you can draw parallels with Scooby, I think it's almost addictive, because obviously for Scooby there's so many debates on timelines and stuff that anytime you see something that even can be remotely connected, it's, oh my goodness, we need to know this, we need to think about this, because it's just something that lacks so much clarity.
But the pixie itself does look good, and this is Hayden Panettiere's character, I believe. But instantly, it's just so different to see this character there, because it's not like Zombie Island where it's a real ghost. It's a real mythological creature, and that's something that I never thought we'd ever see.
Well, see, when I saw it, I was just like, JayBee never did watch Tinkerbell with me, did he?
Oh.
Like, it just reminded me that I was like, yeah, that was on the list to do. So you're in trouble.
I don't want to. I think I'll cry. Like,
oh no!
Like an animal or like a thing that dies if you don't believe in it. Like,
the movies aren't quite that dramatic.
I feel that, I relate.
Yeah, I know.
When no one believes in me, I die.
I was thinking more the attention issue.
Maybe. Well, that's middle child syndrome, I think. But we'll park that where that is.
I have to ask a random question.
Oh yeah.
So while I was trying to find the spell book, I found like an alternate back cover for this movie, and it looks to match like your guys' cover. Does yours just have like Scooby on a broom with the Headless Horseman running behind it, and then everything else is red?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sending you guys what my back cover looks like, because not to be biased, but mine is a lot more fun.
Yeah, I was thinking like the cover, like JayBee always uses the original covers for the visual,
well,
and I was looking at that like, that looks so much better than ours. This isn't fair.
Yeah, well, I had to ask smASH for help with that, because when we posted this for our watch through, smASH was like, oh, I've never seen that cover before. And so I always try and get a picture, but all I could find was like predominantly these and some of the variants. So I was like, which is the most commonly used variant? And I agree that it's so much better. Like,
there, I sent the back cover.
Ooh!
Oh my gosh! See, this is the thing. It's exactly the same image.
Yeah.
But ours doesn't have any of the like the pumpkins, the tombstones. Scooby is exactly the same, but the backdrop on yours is amazing.
But why is ours all orange and stuff? It looks like it was sponsored by EasyJet or something. Like, this is not a vibe. I mean, no disrespect to EasyJet, but like this cover.
You're not going on holiday anytime soon now.
Oh, what? No sponsorship. EasyJet does not condone smash or pass.
So I guess when we see the fairy, it's like, or did you call it a pixie?
I actually did call it a pixie initially, and I don't know why.
Okay, I just wanted to check I wasn't getting it wrong. So when we initially see this, it's kind of like, okay, we know we talked about this was going to be a real one, but I feel like now we know. Like,
yeah.
Do you remember your first reaction to seeing that?
So I have to first bring up this movie's trailer is like, at least the beginning half of it is like, well, I guess overall. Okay, the trailer for this movie is like so intense. Like, it makes it sound like that like, oh, the gang are gonna be turned into monsters if Shaggy and Scooby can't help them, and the world's gonna go into blunder, and like it gets so intense. And so I was super hyped for this movie leading up to it, because that trailer just like hyped me up for it so much. I'll hurry and go find it and send it to you guys. But so when the fairy popped up, I wouldn't say I was at all surprised or anything just because of the trailer, but I have to say that the fairy just like chilling in this dude's tent was a little random to me.
Yeah, I actually thought that the fairy was going to end up being a villain that was sent to almost trick Krudsky into choosing the path of revenge or whatever, because it almost seemed like they'd intentionally knocked the book over to Krudsky.
Yeah.
Something that I was thinking is like, have you seen Hocus Pocus? Not Hocus Pocus, that's not what I'm thinking. Halloween Town.
Yes.
And it's like, there's the connection to a different world for Halloween only. I was like, is that where all these things are coming from? Like, is it like one night of the year all the like mythical creatures can just transport into the world or something? Because obviously, like, we've watched so many Scooby movies and we've not really seen anything like this. Like, we've seen ghosts and stuff, but people have speculations on that and that kind of thing, but nobody's really been like, okay, yeah, we can see fairies in the garden every day and stuff. So it's kind of like, is there some like Halloween link here? I don't know where that Halloween Town thing came from, but it was just
makes sense, especially towards the end where it's like, oh no, Halloween's over, time to go, everyone.
Yeah, and like only having till like the break of, is like the dawn or something.
Yeah,
like it's known as the sunrise,
midnight or something. Like, you will be doomed forever. I mean, it did very much play a lot like a Disney era Halloween film in that it's, you know, you have to do this by sunrise or you have to do this by midnight, or the
that is quite a Disney thing, isn't it? Like, you know, Cinderella and the Halloween Town because the portal closes and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And then I think we progress on to a little cutscene of what I've called the creepy house.
Oh, Mr. Gibble's magic shop?
Yeah. Now, I like, by the end of this scene, I'm like, okay, yeah, this movie, how have I never seen this before? I love the song.
The song? Oh, yes.
Halloween Night, is it called?
Like, shoot, I'll have to look up the name. Something like, who's knocking at the door on Halloween night?
I'm a bit confused at the setup of this though, because for all it's shown that the shop's only open on Halloween night, it confused me how it's all set in Coolsville, yet we have Shaggy and Scooby going over to this massive mansion thing, being scared because they don't know what it is, and then going towards it realising that it's just a shop, and it's like, how long has it been since they were last in Coolsville that there's an aged house that they've, one, never noticed before, and two, you know, it's that size. Like,
okay,
surely they must have been there for past Halloweens.
With that being said, I'm willing to bet that there are houses in this town towards the back of the town, like near the hairdressers and stuff, where you've you just wouldn't know they were there.
Oh,
and
no,
you've
but
lived
they've been
here for
trick-or-treating for
23,
goodness knows how
24
much, and they've
years.
been looking for candy every time they've been
Yeah,
trick-or-treating.
but I don't think you get around every house in the town.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
I mean, we at least drove around to see decorations and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but if you're from somewhere like where I'm from, you don't want to see the whole town. Like, where you see is enough. Trust me.
So this song was Who's at the Door, but it also made me think, like, this was kind of Scooby's, well, besides Scooby Goes Hollywood, but from what we've seen so far, like, Scooby's first movie where they, like, broke into song. There's going to be a movie eventually called Music of the Vampire, where it's a legitimate musical movie, but, like, what did you guys think of them, like, just breaking into song?
I loved it. I honestly did. Like, quite often my favourite part of Scooby movies can be the music. Like, in Loch Ness, I loved the music. There was a series of, like, 3 movies where the music was just, like, I was singing it for the entire week. Like, The Legend of the Vampire with the rock show on. The Monster of Mexico one, in my head, was better than it was on the rewatch. Like,
Well,
I don't...
When you say Viva, I say Mexico. Hey, Viva, Mexico. I love that one. Viva,
Like,
Mexico.
Yeah, that. In my head, I'd amp that up a lot more than what it actually was, so that was better. And Loch Ness as well, I really enjoyed the musical, so it's like that collection there. And then, I don't know, for me the music fell off a little bit until now, but as soon as this song had been on, I was like, oh my goodness, I am redoing our entire Halloween soundtrack after this, and it's going to be amazing.
I love the music in this one, even though they are kind of like kitty. I love it.
Me too. Like, honestly, a lot of the movies that I love so much just have music in them. Like, JayBee and I, one of the first movies that we watched together was Hairspray.
Oh, okay.
We watched that at, like, in student accommodation at about midnight. We decided to put the movie on, and we were singing our hearts out to every song. We must have annoyed the entire block, but, like, it's just like, you can't watch this and not sing.
I'm a sucker for musicals anyway, so, like, oh my goodness, if a show or a movie has, like, characters singing songs and stuff, like, oh my gosh, I'm, like, instantly addicted and hooked. Like, not gonna lie, I have music playing right now while we're talking, and it's from the High School Musical series.
I love High School Musical. That was, like, one of my favourite movies growing up. What else like, I don't know, like, even in terms of, like, Disney movies, one of my favourites is, like, The Lion King. I love Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, just anything with, like, a good amount of music. I'm like, yeah, that's great.
Yes.
So JayBee does, however, have a very different take on the music in this movie.
Yeah, well, on the turntables.
I'm just looking at you with disgust right now.
Okay. I do like one song, and I think it's the next one in, like, that, like, kind of monster bar, but I don't know, I do love musicals, and I will say this, in terms of Music of the Vampire, that first song that they do, I really want to download that, I vibe with that, but I don't know what's wrong with me, maybe I'm just miserable, but the one part about this movie that I just didn't really vibe with was the musical numbers, because they did just seem like discount Disney numbers. Like, they had that kind of positive upbeat vibe, but nothing to really get me invested. And it's like, I would rather 2 musical numbers and 1 standard chase song instead of, like, the 3 or 4 musical numbers that we get. And that's probably really unpopular, but it's like eventually they all kind of fit into the same formula with me, that there's going to be one hookup, you know, where it's like some kind of wordplay about Halloween, and then there'd be a group chant like either da 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 da, then it would get back to, like, the hook of, like, you know, Halloween stuff, and then da 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 da, and they would do that like 2-3 times, and I'm like, okay, that wasn't miserable, but let's get on with the story now. So that probably is not a popular opinion, and it's not an opinion I usually have about music, because I usually really do like musicals, but I don't know, I'm just I'm the misery guts of this episode, I guess.
I don't know, like, I don't think you're miserable. I think if Fred, Velma and Daphne had been more heavily involved in this, I'd have maybe even thought the music was out of place. But I think for Shaggy and Scooby to go through this on their own, you needed some more light-hearted kind of vibes with it, because obviously they're scared of everything. So if it had seemed too serious, it wouldn't have been... I don't know, I don't feel like especially a younger audience would have engaged with it in the same if it was just Shaggy and Scooby being scared and having all these chase scenes and stuff. I do think that because they are so scared that you can't focus in purely on their fear, because then, like, I don't know, I just feel like, especially again, younger audiences, it could be quite uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Whereas to like, for them to naturally be quite fearful people, but for this to be more upbeat, I guess it allows people to engage a bit more rather than feeling uncomfortable watching it. Because if they'd been going through all this with their normal fear levels, I think it'd have been really uncomfortable.
I get that. Especially because, and even, I was thinking this, I don't know, in fact, I don't think we've got there yet, but later on, they have a transformation that I actually think would scare quite a lot of kids, because I was like even Shaggy and Scooby, it's like, this is kind of a bit uncomfortable. They just look a bit weird, and I don't know. I agree. I don't know. I just wasn't vibing. And that's it.
Okay, so I guess we'll park that song where it is. There's some more coming up, so it's good. The next kind of thing I have written is the madman's trying to catch the fairy.
Oh yeah, you've got your Krudsky with the fly swatter.
Yeah,
that was kind of funny. I do think that it probably, again, I like the setup, and it's like natural because it's not like they've reacted poorly to it being a fairy. Like, they're surprised when they take a closer look, so it is just like they thought it was like a bee or something that they just wanted to get out of their hair. But it's so goofy how they catch a fairy, and then I think the spell book opens up to the page how to steal fairies' magic or something. Or,
yeah,
like, he finds it very quickly, and it's like, for someone surprised to see a fairy, it's very shocking that there's even literature, specific literature about how to kind of do one of them in. So that's what I didn't like.
See, to me, it just made me hate his character even more, because it's like, you can't hurt fairies. Like, Tinkerbell, don't do that. I don't know why. Like, I almost feel like I just relaxed so much to the point where I kind of aged back a little bit while watching this, where I was just like, you know, it's a fairy, you can't do this, think about Tinkerbell. Like, I was just there with this movie. I don't know why. I don't know why my mindset, I don't know if I went into it with a more positive mindset. I don't really know what happened, but I don't know, I just felt so engaged with it.
You do believe in fairies. You do,
yeah.
You
do. Did you guys notice when he was flipping through the pages, there was one point he like stops on a page and it says, and it shows a picture, it says Fang Face. No. And that's another Hanna-Barbera property kind of characters that they referenced for a second.
No, I didn't
notice that.
That's awesome.
This is why it's so important to have you here, because you have these like absolute like pearls of wisdom that we just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I said this in the live stream yesterday. I couldn't imagine doing this without smASH, like, because I'd just be here, like, I don't know what I'd be doing. Like, you know what I'd be doing.
Like, we can talk about the movies, but like, it just doesn't. Just wouldn't be the same if there wasn't that element of actual knowledge there as well. Like, we can talk about the movies fine, but we just don't know the depth of knowledge to go alongside that conversation.
Yeah, it'd just be like a movie review, like, you know, us two in front of the camera, like, hey everyone, you know, we hold up the disc and say, this is what we thought about this, we give it 7 out of 10. See you next time, like, comment, subscribe, everyone, here. And that would be it, but I like this kind of more conversational thing.
Yeah.
So I'm happy, and especially with this, like, I don't know, I think there's something about this movie to the point where I'm actually feeling like positive, not only on the point of view as someone watching the movie and talking about it, but also as like a content creator, podcaster or whatever. I actually feel like the vibe of the movie is translating incredibly well to the episode of the podcast as well, to the point where I'm already like, oh, this is going to be an episode that even I'm going to re-listen to, like, in my downtime.
Just how we start recording, like, I'm closer to the mic, I'm more engaged, like, the movie.
I will apologise to viewers if you hear, like, slurping water or cars outside. Like, we are literally surviving a massive heat wave over here in the UK, but maybe it's delirium, but I'm still, like, fully hyped.
Yeah, me too. Although, that being said, we are approaching the first bit of the movie where I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh no.
And that is, you know how Smash was saying, like, he's talking about how he just wanted to find real magic and all that kind of thing. How can he do a spell to get the power to cast spells if he doesn't already have the power to cast spells?
Yeah, like,
does that make sense? He says the spell to get the power, but he has to already have the power to cast the spell.
Or can anyone cast the spell?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, because, okay, so say if a magic spell was abracadabra, smashio, passo, give me the power to play piano like Picasso or to paint like Picasso. If say if that was a real life magic spell and it was in a magic book somewhere, if I just said that, would I have to read it? Like, maybe it's if you're holding the book itself or something, because anyone could just say any gibberish and they could get magic spells.
I mean, what was your interpretation of that, Smash, in terms of the initial kind of spell?
My only... like, I see where you guys are coming from, like, totally. It is kind of like, okay, why are you so, you know, like, struggling if you could have done it this whole time? But my only, I guess, kind of explanation for myself is, like, if you don't already have it, you have to do it on Halloween, and then, like, the fairy's magic almost, like, radiates off, and so, you know, like, he says a spell, and so it's almost like her magic grants the spell.
Yeah, I guess that would make a good amount of sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like the witching hour, isn't it? Whatever, like, it's like a special mystical night. So
I guess I'm just happy that, like, I don't know, like I said, I felt very, like, almost like I'd gone into this one as a different person, because I just felt better vibes straight away. That, like, as soon as I found something like this where I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense, I was like, yeah, it's still me. Like, I've not gone insane. I'm still being analytical with these movies, because I did just feel so different watching this one. It was really strange.
This is a different Scooby Doo movie, period.
It is. And, like, so I've drawn, like, parallels with Tinkerbell and stuff. My next note is about the Alice in Wonderland rabbit.
Yeah.
Did JayBee have anything before then?
No, just that Krudski's wizard outfit. That outfit looks a bit stupid, but their power level seems on the level of Ben Ravencroft. And I think, is this the part where we get to that kind of crystal ball thing? And we get a kind of sneak peek of Daphne once again saying, Scooby Doo, where are you?
Yeah, I don't know. She's been doing that a lot in the last few movies, and I do like it. Just the callback to kind of TV shows and stuff. It's really nice just to see, like we said, it's just really nice to see links within the Scooby-verse a bit, because the timelines do often seem a bit disconnected, so just to see any reference is a bit like, just a little nod, it's good.
Yeah.
And then we see that the gang turn into, like, the monsters and stuff. And they are the ones that they'd previously been stood behind in that picture booth thing.
Hey, good job, you caught on to that.
Yeah, and literally, I didn't catch that the whole of the first viewing, and then Millie mentioned it the second viewing, and I'm like, oh, what a cool little reference that was. But again, I don't think I'm almost glad that I didn't watch this as a kid, because Werewolf Velma is genuinely terrifying. Like, I just felt uncomfortable watching that, and it's like, if this came out in 2008, I would have been like 10 years old, and even that I think that would have scared me at 10. I wasn't particularly brave.
So I sent you guys the trailer for this movie, and at one point in the trailer, it shows that whole transformation of the three, and like I've heard a lot of people have said like when they originally watched the trailer, like it scared them so much.
I can see why. Like, I don't know. Out of context of this is one possibility, to see like the characters that you associated with kind of saving the world as opposed to ruining it. Like, if you see that they're gone, they've transformed into the things that were like doing the damage beforehand, that in itself strikes a level of fear, right?
Yeah, I mean,
because it's like, if they've gone, who's gonna do the good? Who's gonna resolve this? Because surely Scooby and Shaggy would be too scared.
I mean, I almost respect my parents, like, quite a lot more in terms of viewing. For all my mum got me Howard the Duck when I was little, I'm almost like, my parents always knew how scared I was of things. Like, even, like, there were some episodes of the cartoon of Scooby Doo that, like, I just wasn't allowed to watch because, like, I'd always start crying or something. Again, not a particularly brave child. But, like, a part of me is like, there's a reason why this is the only movie out of, like, you know, from the start to Samurai Sword that I didn't watch. And I kind of just think, someone must have stopped me from watching this. And in hindsight, I'm kind of like, thank you, but also, that was a good movie, why?
There are a lot of things they do really well. Like, I really enjoyed the animation in this, like, when the rabbit's like explaining the situation, just the little animation that his ears do when he's talking about the stroke of midnight, how the two ears suddenly like ping together. I don't know, there was just lots of little things like that, and I was like, I really like how they did that.
Yeah.
I also like the concept of the cards as well. Yeah,
it reminded me. Now, okay, I think this is going to be a really nostalgic kind of thing if people are watching this and they know what I'm talking about. But for people that played Club Penguin back in the day, there was this minigame called Card Jitsu, where if you like have these special cards as like a surfing penguin card, and it would genuinely cause like a tidal wave to like flood the other player. It reminded me so much of them, and I love it. Like,
yeah, I can totally see that.
Oh, it just pains me though, because if this movie was made today with a higher budget, that would have so been like a mobile app, you know, like Pokemon Go.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you're right.
But I also appreciate that it wasn't, because at the end, like, towards the end, you see them drop the cards and stuff, like, I don't know, I'm quite old-fashioned, I don't do technology really. So to see it all kind of still be what I'd consider normal, I appreciate.
It would have been very easy to just have them all throughout the movie and just use it as like an easy get out of jail free card. Maybe literally.
Yeah, I guess.
I have to bring up though, I guess, before we get too far, since you kind of brought it up. Starting with this movie and then with each one for a little bit, they actually released like online, I guess, video games in a sense, corresponding with the movies, and so there was actually like an online Goblin King game that you could play at the time of release.
Yeah, you know what, I noticed that this was the first movie for a while that didn't have one of those like running and jumping mini games in the menu, the bonus features.
Yeah, they started to go online.
That's a bit of a shame, but it does seem like a new era, because if I'm not mistaken, is this considered still part of the kind of the Legends series?
This was getting out of the Legends, but this was still considered in the What's New era. but at the time, Shaggy and Scooby Doo Get a Clue was kind of airing, and so they were in this weird transition period right now where it's like they're not necessarily doing What's New Scooby Doo, but the movies were still carrying that animation, at least for this one and the next one. Then they do a complete reanimation for the movies. So yeah, we're in a weird transition period for Scooby Doo right now.
Speaking of the animation, we're getting to that point where I said I'd kind of got Zombie Island vibes. You know when the train first arrives and it starts at the feet of the conductor and it's working its way up the legs? Just seeing the feet and the legs, I don't know why, but I got like Zombie Island, Captain Moonscar kind of vibes in the coloration of all that. I don't know why. But just for a second I was like transported back to that one. I don't know what caused it.
Yeah. I mean, this is where I'm thinking Halloween Town, when like there's that mysterious vehicle with like the skeleton driver.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy Smash got that reference.
Really, they should do Halloween Town Funko Pops, because they probably have, but they've done Hocus Pocus ones, but no Halloween Town.
I love my Hocus Pocus Funko.
And I would want what's his name? Not Caliban, a Calabar Funko Pop.
Oh yes.
Because Calabar, he literally looked like someone I know in real life, and he's just a legend. I want a Calabar Funko Pop, and that's all I'm gonna say. But this like Polar Express thing rocks up, and it's so spooky, but it looks epic. Like, I know a lot of people criticize the What's New era movies for being like extended versions of the show, and I can see that to an extent with some of the others, even ones that I like the Loch Ness Monster one. But with this, it's distinctly more, grand scheme. But it's interesting to note that they were still doing What's New movies alongside Shaggy and Scooby Doo Get a Clue. And maybe that's just why I didn't see this, because that came along and changed me.
I think because they've kind of said, like, when Mystery Incorporated, that series, started to air, they did this whole panel at Comic-Con one year, talking about Mystery Incorporated and whatever, and someone asked basically almost oh, is Mystery Incorporated canon to the direct-to-video movies and whatever? And their explanation was well, because Mystery Incorporated hadn't fully aired yet, so there was a lot of stuff they couldn't say without spoiling, and so they were right now, Mystery Incorporated is its own thing, whereas the direct-to-video movies are canon to the original series. And so what they like to do is they like to experiment a little more with the series in terms of animation and story-wise, whereas the movies, they kind of, they do, obviously, this movie was a big experiment, I feel like, that worked well, but they like to kind of keep it more or less classic Scooby-Doo, so, all the gang is in it, and the animation doesn't go too off the bar, and, so...
Yeah, you are, I think, we've said this before, you are the genuine, expert with this stuff. My only and most intellectual reasoning that I can come up with in terms of, canonicity and timeline is just that I've seen similarities, where there's maybe one where they grew up in Crystal Cove and one where they grew up in Coolsville, and that's as far as I go, because even the Sword and the Scoob, they mention that they're from Crystal Covia, and then in that movie as well, Daphne also mentions to Fred that is Dad's mean, and so it's okay, you can kind of see where that factors into things, but yeah, that's the extent of me.
I guess a little explanation for that, because right now, again, we're in the What's New era, so to speak. So right now, they grew up in Coolsville. They're in Coolsville in this movie. But once we get into the once they do the reanimation after Samurai Sword, so when we start with Abracadabra Doo, then they start to depict the characters as if they grew up in Crystal Cove. So after the next movie, then all the lore kind of refers back to Crystal Cove rather than Coolsville.
Yeah.
That's good to know, like, in terms of just looking for changes, because I do think, like, having a bit of knowledge beforehand has paid off. Like, with the knowledge that you gave us about this movie, I was like, okay, I want to make sure I do 2 watch-throughs. I feel like this is one where I need to just see what it's about first. So I guess it's really helpful to know that.
And I was reading the first Daphne and Velma book, and it surprised me to you know, when that was in Crystal Cove as well, because I was thinking, like, I'd always associated it with Coolsville, but, like, to find out how prominent Crystal Cove has become, it's kind of crazy.
Because so Crystal Cove obviously started with Mystery Incorporated, and that series started in 2010, so that was 11 years ago now. Wow, we're getting old. But I kind of think why they're really portraying Crystal Cove in most of the media over Coolsville. Like, even in the live action movie Daphne and Velma, I don't know if either of you guys have seen that one yet, but they reference Crystal Cove. I think Daphne at one point says something like, "What is the curse of Crystal Cove?" type of thing. And anyway, so I think they're using Crystal Cove now because it's kind of what this generation of Scooby fans are going to remember. You know, they're kind of acting like, you know, not every kid's gonna go back and watch old Scooby Doo. They're gonna watch the more modern, and so they're kind of keeping to the lore that they originated in Crystal Cove, though they do live in Coolsville now.
Yeah, I do like that a lot. I just like how they've even gone on to adapt some of the musical elements, like even like the explaining the villain song seems to have been carried through, and to the point where even watching some of these older movies, like with Chill Out and everything, I've almost been playing that song in my mind every time. It's like, man, I mean, you know that something's good when you're getting nostalgia for it, when I personally didn't even watch it as a kid, so it's like, yeah, this is all good. And even this film, I was feeling such nostalgia for, even though I've never seen it before. Which is powerful, because nostalgia is strong, and nostalgia is a strong thing.
I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of moments in this one that's like, I enjoy that, I'm gonna remember that. Like, in terms of my notes and where I'm up to, they've just arrived at the cemetery, and I love that kind of wolf swap thing they do.
Like, it's almost like a reluctant werewolf, like, Easter egg. Like, oh, you wouldn't attack a fellow werewolf, would you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are they going there?
Yeah.
And then it is like a Scooby thing, but that must be some type of a reference, because even in the reluctant werewolf, he didn't really look like a scary werewolf, but he did almost look like a brown dog. So I just love that. But the werewolf guy's transformation again reminds me of, what is it, Jacques from Zombie Island? Like that cat transformation. It reminded me so much of that. And it's kind of scary. But I think this is an example so far of the Shaggy and Scooby misadventures done right, because it isn't just a random thing where they've fallen into some mysterious island and now they're doing some side quest. They're like on a purposeful mission to save the gang, and I just like that a lot. Like, they're on a quest.
I think the last one seemed so uncomfortable. Like, they were like, Shaggy and Scooby on their own, but we need to remember the rest of the gang as well. Like, let's keep cutting back. Let's give them a really long road trip so we can just keep cutting back. Whereas with this one, it's like, look, the story only accommodates for the 2 characters, and that's just what we've got to do. We're not going to make any apologies for that. This is just the story for this movie. Things can be different moving forward. They're going to be more prominent again, but just with this one, it's how it is.
It's like the last one, I felt like they were either with, you know, Fred, Daphne, and Velma, either playing catch up with Shaggy and Scooby, or they were just like telling the same story we just saw, but in a faster way. Whereas this, they're each having their own story, but, you know, one side of it doesn't know that the other side knows that it's all going to connect if they don't stop it, so to say.
Yeah. Just again looking, The next song coming up, is that the one you said you liked, JayBee?
Yeah, I thought this was good, and although admittedly, watching this each time, the song wasn't really my focus. It was all the Easter eggs in the background. So we get a different color variant of the roller coaster, which I thought was interesting because I think the roller coaster is green in the What's New show, but in here they look almost blue.
Yeah, it's blue.
But it's like, was the roller coaster ridiculously popular? Because I know that Smash noticed the lady that was the roller coaster on the cruise ship in Pirates Ahoy, and now there's the actual suited up roller coaster in this, and it's like, why are there so many references to that one monster? Were they like the most popular? I don't know.
I'm guessing, honestly, it was just because they could make it different just by changing the fur color, and they already had the model for it, so they were like, just throw it in.
Maybe. I mean, I guess that's a decent way of doing things, and it does look distinctly different, especially because they hide it in the shadows, so where you kind of see all the kind of glowing eyes, it's a bit freaky. But we also get so many other references, like the classic werewolf. I think we get, is it the Phantom Shadow? Medusa as well.
So I have the full list of everyone who's in this sequence.
I'm happy.
Are you guys ready?
I didn't get it, so I'm excited. Woo!
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
So we have the werewolves from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? We have the Phantom Shadows from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? We have the Creeper from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? We have the Ghost of McCoy, the Ghost Witch of McCoy from the Scooby Doo show. We have the Mummy of Anka, however you say that, from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? We have the Roller Coaster from What's New Scooby Doo. We have Dracula from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? We have the Zombie from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? We have the Snow Ghost from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? We have the Ghost of Mr. Hyde from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? We have the No-Face Zombie from the Scooby Doo show. We have Penguin's troll disguise from the new Scooby Doo movies. We have a kelp monster from the Scooby Doo show. We have the specter of crap from the Scooby Doo show. We have the ghost of the Great Haldane from Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo. We have the shadow creature from Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo. We have the Wax Phantom from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? We have the Phantom from Scooby Doo, Where Are You? There's the Scarecrow from the new Scooby Doo movies, and the Creepy Keeper from What's New Scooby Doo. And there you go.
Wow, that is quite the list. I honestly didn't think that there was that many, so...
I didn't even think the song was as long as that.
So I guess, I mean, are we just gonna... what do we think of that? Is that just needless fan service, or is that laziness into... Oh, actually, it's not... You can't even call it laziness, because if they're going out their way to remodel things into that What's New style, it's not like it's, you know, with the older ones that they've just copied and pasted things. But no, I'm enjoying that. I enjoyed that a lot. But what do we think? Just cool Easter eggs?
Okay, so like within the Scooby universe, my kind of like guess for this is that like, because they're in the real Halloween land now, so to say, and so my guess is like these are actual monsters, and so somehow, you know, whoever dressed up as these guys in the original episodes like got word or reference of them, and so based their costumes on the real version. And so, like, that's why they're a little different from the costume version, because, you know, like, the roller coaster, there's the blue version. They, like, either changed it up, or they had to, or they didn't get the right reference or something. So that's always been my headcanon of this.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense coming off the back of the Legends movies as well, where there is speculation that they're real, but this is just a person's adaptation or take on what they look like.
Yeah.
I get that. And especially when you consider that maybe, and this is getting way into like the kind of, you know, reading between the lines canon, that possibly the kind of portals between worlds at one point may not have been so like divisive in terms of just one day. Maybe there was one time where they were a bit more intermingled and they just faded into like the legends of that universe.
It does sound so Halloween Town vibes the way you're explaining that.
Yeah, like,
Exactly.
once lived in harmony, but
Yeah.
no more.
And then they like permanently open the portal and
Yeah. That's gonna be cool. And you never know, like that type of stuff could happen so weirdly. And like even now, like imagine if like for some reason like a meteor hit Earth and like everyone was wiped out, most structures were wiped out, we were all buried, and then like aliens repopulate in like 1,000 years and they find like an old Superman comic and think like that's who we worshipped. Like, I don't know, it's just weird that they could find like a Pikachu Build-A-Bear and go, we will worship this thing. Like, I don't know, I like just thinking about stuff like that. It makes me, I mean, not the world being blown up, but just how little things can be picked up just from like one sighting or one story.
I quite like that those are the references though, and I think references do often make for enjoyable moments within Scooby movies. Like we saw the Wizard of Oz moments, like the pay no attention to the man behind the curtain thing, and there's another Alice in Wonderland reference I've got here, you know, the kind of two Goblin King minions. I feel like they're very Tweedledum and Tweedledee.
Or almost like the flying monkeys.
Oh yeah.
I thought this was like a Harry Potter reference or something, because like Shaggy says Goblin King and then everyone's swooping in though, you can't say Goblin King. I was like, well, why? Like, is it like, and there's not actually a reason why you can't say Goblin King, right? They have this bit where you can't say it, but then it's not like because like, you know, the Goblin King wants you to be scared of them, so they don't want you to use like the title. It's just don't say Goblin King, and we're gonna have a funny moment about it. But this is where we also get introduced to the pumpkin.
They're so cute. I love them.
I like the pumpkin a lot. I mean, they had the potential to be so annoying, but I feel like they definitely came into their own a little bit. I mean,
especially because you contrasted with a relatively dark character at the same time with the Headless Horseman.
The Headless Horseman annoyed me though more than anything, because for all they're iconic, it's like they're clearly trying to get like Jack the Pumpkin for their head. And yet every time we see them approaching a pumpkin, apart from that one time it is Jack, they're just slicing up the pumpkins like with like the scythe thing. So it's like, if that was Jack, you've just sliced up your own head. What are you doing? I just kind of felt like weird. It was a bit weird that they were actively trying to destroy pumpkins.
See, I was just really excited when we saw them. I think it was relatively recently. We unboxed the Playmobil villain packs, and the Headless Horseman was in one of them, and it was just like, I've got this. And I also really like that that's when they start to reintroduce the cards as well. Although I feel like the cards, it's very convenient that the cards say what they did in terms of knowing they'd get to that scenario.
True.
Yeah, and I don't know.
But I just feel
like the cards are wasted to an extent. I don't want them to be or for all purpose get them out of trouble type thing, but I just feel that they were kind of just used for this one scene that was a bit jokey and then never seen again. Like they lost them.
Well, they did. They fell off the cliff, and
I don't know if that was the right
scattered.
decision though. But...
yeah, like there should be a one at the end that like saves all and gets them back.
Well,
in
not
time.
necessarily that, but maybe there was one that would hinder them, or one that would make some effects that would make things a bit trickier, but also something that would have been an advantageous play, like some strategy to it besides that. And again, I think that having fun with those cards would have made for a great and wacky chase scene. Like, and I messaged Smash about this. Like, I was watching an episode of what is it, Be Cool Scooby Doo, and there's this one episode called like You, Me and AI or something, and it was an episode that I thought was alright. I was having a good time with it, and then the chase scene happened and it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and I loved it. And like, they could have had some like reality bending chase scene with the cards, and I just thought it would have been great, but it's just this kind of headless horseman laughing his head off. Well, literally laughing his head off.
See, there's one thing I don't get about that head thing, and that is why does it change the second he catches it?
Yeah,
you know, like when he like puts it on his shoulders.
And why does he need a head when he can laugh? The entire
personality changes of the lantern straight away. I don't know, I find it strange. Probably a weird thing to care about, but
I always thought the Headless Horseman dude was a different entity than Jack, and so like when he put him on top of his collar, you know, it like Jack became one with the Headless Horseman.
Maybe. I mean, the Headless Horseman's called the Headless Horseman for a reason. I guess traditionally they're not depicted with that Jack figure. Maybe it's just they want a head, and that's why they like almost possess something that could be a head. But then that doesn't really make sense, because we see Scooby later on literally going into the Headless Horseman's outfit and then popping out like the Headless Horseman's head, and they're not possessed.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I don't really know the rules. And again, if it is because pumpkins are maybe like a bit more hollowed out potentially, or you can use pumpkins for that reason because they're a bit Halloweeny, it's like, well, there's a pumpkin patch there that you're smashing up. Let's just take another one that's not going to run away. So
yeah, right.
That was confusing. And now, Milly, where are your notes at this point?
The next thing I've said, and this is something that they were talking about in the Scooby podcast, the one that Nikki Blake does. They were talking about Scrappy a lot and the dynamic that Shaggy and Scooby had with him. That Scrappy was kind of brave, and then it balanced out the Shaggy and Scooby fear. But in this movie, I don't miss Scrappy. I don't miss when they teamed up with Daphne. They exist so well in their own right in this movie in a way that I don't feel like I've fully engaged with before.
I want them to bring Jack back, because I think Jack's a big point to do with that. They're kind of like the more, you know, gung-ho, let's go and get them type person. But I was actually expecting some emotional scene in this movie, because it's so different. Where, you know, like in Frozen, there's that scene where Olaf's like, you know, dying because he's melting. I thought there was going to be an emotional scene where like Jack's light goes out, but that just didn't happen. And I thought they were setting it up, like, you know, careful Scooby, you're going to put the light out. And
yeah, that would have been quite sad, but it also would have worked.
But yeah, Jack's is a great foil to Shaggy and Scooby whilst also being helpful. I just feel that there's a moment later on where they just go for no reason, and I didn't really like that.
The next thing that I've got that I actually didn't like is when the Headless Horseman couldn't cross the bridge. To me, that was like, well, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, is this the first sign that this isn't real? Like, could it be there's an unmasking, like, flying thing that obviously can't pass under a roof? Or
I mean, at no point am I questioning if this is real or not. I know it's real, but I think that was from background stuff that I've heard. I was just thinking more that was an easy way out, and at the same time it's like what is Jack's motive? You know, like, why does Jack go down to help Shaggy and Scooby if there is just a clear way that they can escape the horsemen just by living their best life on the other side of this bridge the whole time? Like, what's Jack's motive to even be on that side of the bridge in the first place? And that's what I was kind of questioning.
Yeah, so that is like original lore for the Headless Horseman, is that he can't cross bridges. So it's not, I mean, it is a cop-out, but it wasn't being like, they didn't just make it up just to have it be a cop-out. It was original lore for the Headless Horseman, but they definitely did kind of use it as like, okay, we gotta move on from this chase, let's just have this happen.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. What is next on my list?
Is this the first glimpse at the Goblin King? Or no.
No, I've got the gang go into the tent.
Yeah, and then they see like Houdini messing around with
calling the Goblin King, I think.
Yeah, with the pixie as almost not ransom, like leverage, like a hostage. Although we don't know that then, we just think that the Goblin King wants pixie power.
And this is where I'm starting to see a moment when I'm like, oh no, I am not gonna like this movie. And it's when Velma starts doing... See, this might offend a lot of people that have, like, certain opinions on Velma, but, like, that rational mind, like, fainting, lip quivering thing, I honestly find that ridiculous.
I liked it in this movie. Like, there's movies later on where she's just being so, like arrogant about it, going, no, I'm right, like, this is fake, this is fake, this is fake. But I actually like Velma in this because you can tell that it's so un-Velma that it's just too much for her. But at no point is she like going around like trying to like go, oh, this is fake, you know, why are you believing this? You know, clearly he's up on wires and stuff and that's just a hologram. So I like how they've accepted that it's real, but they just can't handle it versus, you know, doing all they can to say that it isn't real.
See, I don't know. I just don't think it does them justice. I think it's like what they did to Fred in the last one, making him look stupid because he couldn't say abominable properly. Like, there's no need to dumb them down. They've achieved so much. It's what their characters do. Their characters are intelligent. Like, don't sell them short, kind of thing. I don't know. I just think it makes it look ridiculous.
But what does Smash think? I think that's good.
You know, okay, so again, I've watched this one a bunch. I watched it when it first came out. And so this is always kind of growing up how I saw at least I guess more modern Velma, you know, disregarding Zombie Island, how she would react to supernatural things. And so when, you know, they got into like Curse of the 13th Ghost and Return to Zombie Island, whatever, I thought she was gonna be more like this, where, you know, she was like, oh my gosh, I like can't you know, I can't believe it, I can't imagine it being real, what is going on, I'm shutting down. But instead they made her, you know, in denial. And I have to say, I prefer this way a little more, just because I feel like when she's in denial, she almost gets rude, and like nothing anyone says, you know, can be validated, like in the newer movies. And so, and while this I still feel like isn't very her, you know, where she just shuts down because she can't imagine it and whatever, I guess I just prefer this. I just wish she didn't like black out for half the movie.
Yeah, and I get that, you know, and it's like, I agree, you know, if Velma's gonna act a certain way to supernatural things, a disbelief, then just flat out, you know, just like superiority complex. But again, I gotta get back to this thing, like, what's happened to the Halloween outfits? Like, when was the time for this quick change?
Yeah.
It just seems out of place because they've clearly gone out of their way to animate new outfits. Like, they've not just reused their costumes from Pirates Ahoy, it's like new stuff. And it's like, if they wanted to be lazy with it, just make sure that they aren't in costume, but we see them just changed back now. And I guess we get a plot twist at the end to do with the fairy and the Goblin King. But now what? So we see Krudsky making a deal that in exchange for the fairy, Krudsky will be granted, is it Goblin power, or is like the Goblin staff?
Yeah, his Goblin scepter.
Ah, okay, the scepter. So now where are we after that? Do we go back to Shaggy and Scooby?
Pretty sure, and they like, well, what happened? Or they like,
I think there's like a queue to a party. There's like a queue to a party, and that's where the decide to dress up as Daphne and Velma?
No, wait, isn't there a bit before that where they go to the witch's cottage?
Well, yeah, they go to the witch's
I
cottage.
forgot about the witch's.
Yeah,
I don't think I wrote.
So they go to the witch's cottage. Now, what I got for this personally was it was like when the Hex girls have retired. There's one kind of middle one that looks a bit younger still, but you've got the blonde one, the ginger one that kind of stand in the back a bit more. And I don't know, I was just a bit like, yep, if things don't turn out for the Hex girls, this is 50 years time kind of thing.
Although that one of the Hex
I don't know why.
sounds like Dracula's daughter from the Ghoul School, which was nice.
I also really like the broomstick scene.
Yes,
which results from the witch's cottage.
I've actually got a question for Smash that I'll ask when everyone's kind of done with this scene, because for all the answers I think gonna be obvious, I still want to ask it nonetheless.
Hey, I'm good. Go.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
So, Smash. What do the Scooby fans that don't believe that supernatural elements belong in Scooby Doo, what do they think about this movie?
You know, I haven't heard a lot about this one in particular, and it's kind of hard because it's like, this is more so a Halloween movie, you know, rather than like, oh, it's supernatural type, you know, I mean, it is a supernatural movie, but, you know, it's referring more to Halloween than like, oh, there's a real creature that we have to capture type thing. So I have to say I kind of think just from what I hear or don't hear that a lot of people like to act like this one doesn't exist because it's not talked about a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and this might be somewhat spoiler territory. I don't know if Millie wants me to bring this up now, but do you remember what you were going to mention to Smash about this movie in terms of their recent upload?
Oh, I mean, I did. I think I do, but I don't know if it's what I was going to say. Are you meaning about the underrated thing? Yeah, you know how you did your, like, list of the, is it 5 most underrated Scooby movies?
Yeah, I did 5. Mm-hmm.
This would definitely be on mine, like, top, maybe even the most underrated, because it was just one that neither JayBee or I knew about, and just watching it was like, I can't believe I didn't know this, I can't believe I'd not seen this. It's amazing. I'm really enjoying it at this point. Like I said, there's been a few things, like, I don't know, for example, the Velma thing was a bit like fainting, not believing and stuff. I don't know, I found that annoying, but ultimately, like, the music, the story, Scooby and Shaggy's development, it's just all great.
Okay, one of the biggest reasons I didn't include this one in that list was because when it gets to like October, around Halloween time, the people that do enjoy this one and do acknowledge it actually talk about it a lot. So this is just very a seasonal movie, I guess you could say. Like, a lot of people really only like to watch this movie during Halloween time.
Yeah, I guess my thing with that is just because I didn't know about it, and looking at the title, I didn't know it was a Halloween one.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Happy Halloween, I imagine, could overshadow this really easily. Just because it's right there in the title kind of thing.
I'm a little upset with Happy Halloween, Scooby Doo, because in the original trailer for that movie, like right at the end when it's like says, you know, available on DVD or whatever, there's a little thing like says something like their first full-length Halloween movie or something, and I was like, why are we disrespecting Goblin King like this?
No.
But I guess that implies that there's gonna be another Halloween movie, right? Like, the first.
I wouldn't doubt there would be another.
But yeah, that is a little bit disrespectful, and it's like when you're going for like Scooby Halloween movies, it's almost like Like, in terms of YouTube terms, that one was just titled and tagged better, but maybe not as good in terms of content. I don't know.
Okay, we're talking about the title, actually. I have a little fun fact about the title.
Oh, okay, I'm happy.
So, it's called Scooby Doo and the Goblin King. That's what they ended up with, but I wouldn't say too recently, but a little more in recent years. Some of the like character, I can't think of what you call them, but like their development type pages, you know, where it's like the character reference pages type thing, have kind of leaked online. So like I have a bunch of them pulled up right now on my computer. There's like Daphne in her cat outfit. There's Shaggy in his ghost outfit. Velma in her pumpkin. Anyway, so these were their character reference sheets for this movie, and this was the dates on them are for June 26th of 2007, so over a year before the movie release. The original title for this movie, it changed before it got released. It was going to be titled Scooby Doo and the Shadow Goblins instead of the Goblin King.
I don't know how to feel about that, surprisingly enough. It sounds cooler, but at the same time, we don't really get shadow goblins. Maybe that was the original plan, but it definitely does sound a lot cooler.
That's what the Goblin King's little goblin people, you know, all the little goblins were called. One of the two little goblins, can't think of their names right now, kind of reference it. They're like, oh, you'll be in trouble with the shadow goblins or something. And my only thing with it is I feel like the title that they chose, Scooby-Doo and the Goblin King, while yes, they're going on this hunt to get the Goblin King's scepter, I just feel like the Goblin King himself isn't in the movie enough to have him in the title. And I don't know, that's just how I felt. I was like, I think I would have preferred the Shadow Goblins a little more, just because, you know, you're not referencing like the big monster of the movie in the title when he's like in the last 10 minutes of the movie. But I do understand kind of why you put Goblin King and why you put him on the cover to attract people to be interested in it.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. It's not really that representative on what the movie's about, although I can't really think of another one. I guess if you want to call back to something, maybe Scooby Doo and the Night of Fright or something. Like, that's a bit cliche then. Like, you know, that could be like the title of about 80% of the things. But yeah, I mean, they definitely chose well in terms of broad audiences. Like, it's definitely one to catch your eye. But yeah, and now we get on to Shaggy and Scooby flying on the broomsticks, and this actually looks nice. You know, it doesn't, you know, it's obviously it's not groundbreaking or anything, but it's definitely a dynamic scene. And also the way the goblin weaponry like shows up, like searchlights and everything, for all that's kind of a bit over the top and stuff, it does very much solidify that this is their world, it's their realm, that like they're not just in, you know, Coolsville as we know it, because obviously if, you know, searchlights on like, you know, missiles start flying through the air in like a civilian town, people are going to be scared. It's like, no, this is a different realm and these monsters are the main inhabitants, and I think that did quite a lot in terms of like setting it out like maybe Shaggy and Scooby are in some genuine danger here.
Yeah.
And also, this is funny. We get like, I think they do eventually end up in this fairyland. It's the funniest thing. I literally wrote down, I feel like I recognize the voice of the orange fairy, but I don't know where from. And looking through the credits, I think that's Grey. You know, Grey DeLisle Griffin. I think she does that one as well, and I'm like, oh. That's where I know that voice from. That makes sense.
I wouldn't be surprised, because she does do, you know, handful of other voices. Like in The Sword and the Scoob, the most recent movie right now that's been released. She does Morgan Le Fay.
Oh. Yeah, but like the voice actors are so talented. Like, I don't know how they do what they do. They can transform their voice so much and so convincing. Obviously, you know, I think everyone can kind of put on a weird voice when they need to, but like the way they make that a character is just something I'll always admire. Like, if I had all the money in the world and I could just learn something new, I would love to take voice acting lessons. I don't know, it just seems like such a cool thing to be able to do.
That would be a lot of fun. Oh, so looking at the cast, random. So Gray did Daphne, that fairy, which her name is Honeybee, but she also did the witch that started out as a cat and then turned into a witch.
So lots of cat Daphne in this movie.
Yeah.
Just not enough. Never enough. But the Goblin Castle party looks kind of cool. Though I don't know why it's a party as such. I guess they didn't make it something too heavy. But I mean, to me, this is kind of okay. You've been really good with coming up with these like Easter eggs, you know, of like a list of all the monsters that you can appear. And I don't know if this is crazy, but there's this one point where in like that lineup of people going to the party, there's this dragon with two heads, and the head looks exactly like Matches from Ghoul School, and I don't know if I'm just imagining it or if you picked up on that as well.
I'm gonna hurry and go look it up and see.
Like, I don't know what it would be classified as if you just type in Ghoul School Dragon, Ghoul School. I mean, maybe some people have like, or like Goblin King Matches.
Well, I remember what Matches looks like. I just can't think of this character in this movie. So I'm just gonna hurry and see if I can find when they're standing in line, see who's there.
I mean, Millie, what do you think about this party and the lineup?
Okay, let me see where I'm at with my notes here. So, have we gone past the Goblin Graveyard and the elevator written and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we're like kind of in the lineup now, just before Shaggy and Scooby kind of take the role of, I guess, Daphne and Velma, so like just towards that scene.
I mean, I love Shaggy's rhyme just before he does that. I don't know why, but again, it was just like I like their character. I just love how they present themselves throughout this. Like, you know, watch out, stomach, you're not gonna like this kind of thing. You just know it's gonna be funny. And then for them to walk in, it's like, what exactly did that potion do? Because they look exactly the same, just with a wig and an outfit on.
Yeah, it's a bit unsettling.
Yeah,
like
true.
But yeah, I can't really find any images of the thing I'm talking about. I think I'll try and get a photo and I'll send it to you, but I don't know, it's just something that I picked up on that was a bit kooky.
I know where you're talking about, I can't find the spot where it like pans over them.
Yeah.
Without putting my DVD in.
So.
Oh, wait, I might have just found the scene.
Wait, really? Wait, is it on YouTube? Like a clip or?
Yeah, it looks like someone's like recording their TV type of thing.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay. It was a two-headed thing.
Yeah, like a green two-headed thing, and I thought the head looked exactly like Matches, and I didn't know if it was an Easter egg or if it was unintentional or I don't know.
So yeah, I can see where you're coming from. It definitely has the face of it, but I don't think it's supposed to be unless you're just kind of like, ooh, that looks like this type of thing.
Yeah, like almost like it would have been Matches as an adult, or at least within that kind of species line, as in Matches could be a baby alligator, this is a fully grown crocodile type thing.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so I think the next thing I've written down here is how much I like the song. Now, I have named these in my own way. I think I've called this one Boogie Boogie.
Boogie Boogie.
So this is called the Goblin Oogie Boogie.
Goblin Oogie Boogie. I do like this one. It's alright. Again, it's very formulaic. And again, like, I don't know. What is it with Scooby and Shaggy dressing up like Daphne and Velma? Is that going to be explored again in the future?
I'm trying to think if they have done. I don't think they've really done it again since. The only thing I can think of like why they might have done it is because in, you know, Scooby Doo 2, when they're like dressing up, trying to be real detectives, and then Scooby's got Velma's sweater and Daphne's boots and stuff. I don't know if it stemmed from that or.
I mean, maybe it's just. I don't know. It's funny. It's kind of cool, but again, I don't know how so many people just fall for this. But I guess anything is possible.
Also, it kind of bugs me, but it's fine because it's like a costume. Shaggy's version of Daphne's outfit has a light purple scarf instead of a green one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they wanted to differentiate them. I mean, I don't know who's getting mixed up, but
yeah.
If the outfits are different and it's quite clearly that they've not fully transformed, I do wonder what the potion was to achieve.
I mean, it would have been a bit weird if it was like a polyjuice potion and they could just transform into...
Yeah, but at the same time, how did they get the clothes by drinking a potion?
I mean, they have the outfits as seen in Pirates Ahoy, and why they take it everywhere, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't really a potion, it was a quick change, wasn't it? Like, what are they doing? But yeah, here's what I noticed as well, and they don't linger on this at all, but when Shaggy is like dancing with the Goblin, he like pulls at its face, and it's like, is that an attempted unmasking, or is it just a weird scene? Like, do they think it's fake at this point? Because there is a moment where they do distinctively like tug at the head of one of them.
Yeah.
But I just feel like maybe there was an element where they were going to make Scooby and Shaggy skeptic, because they literally, I can see this movie playing out so differently with that one scene in mind where Shaggy and Scooby start this film like, this is Halloween, the one night we know everything's fake, and it's almost like they were going to act as Velma does in the more recent movies throughout this film, and this was going to be the moment where they were going to try to unmask the Goblin King, and this would have been the realization like, oh my gosh, it's all real. But they just seem to have like completely cut all that out. So the third musical number was good. Oh my gosh, like the Scooby Velma twerking was not a vibe. Like, that was almost verging on the unsettling. I didn't know what to do with myself in that scene. I was like, what is this? Why does this have to be the case? But then we also get...
I know, that was weird.
That same Scooby kissing the Goblin King.
Yeah.
I mean, Millie, what's your opinion on that? Like, just how weird Scooby was being as Velma, you know, from the twerking to trying to make out with the Goblin King. Like, that's all levels of wacky.
I mean, it's not like behaviour they've replicated because Velma acts that way, because she doesn't. So it's kind of like, well, where does this originate? I
just think Scooby's got like a wild side, and this is just their excuse to like unleash it. This is it's disturbing. But yeah, now what have we got? We got our first few lines from Tim Curry now. This is the first time that they've spoken properly, apart from that one mirror scene. And you can definitely hear that it's just Tim Curry being Tim Curry. Like, if you close your eyes, you could hear Ben Ravencroft and stuff like. And that's okay, you know, if you're gonna feature someone like that to do a voice, it'd be a bit of a shame to hide it behind you know, someone unrecognizable, you kind of want people to go, oh my gosh, that's Tim Curry, but it's a bit confusing if you're just watching these in order and you hear the same voice coming out of multiple characters, especially when we've highlighted that, you know, Grey can, you know, change their voice so much that you might be able to recognize that it's someone familiar, but you'll never go, oh, that's just Daphne being like a high-pitched fairy. It's, you know, distinct.
Okay.
So now I don't know if I've skipped ahead dramatically, but I've just written down Goblin King meets Krudsky.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So smASH, what did you think about this scene?
I actually really like how they kind of, because I almost feel like we've had this time of not seeing the rest of the gang for a bit now, and I kind of really like how they did this. You know, it's like they kind of caught up with what was going on, so they were like, okay, we'll try to interfere with it. And so I don't know, I really like how the scene looks and feels, where they're kind of hiding out in this like bell tower type thing, and then, you know, once it, like, I think the fairy is revealed, and that's when they're like, oh my gosh, like, this is real, you know, like a real was that here, or was that in the tent where he's like a real fairy? I can't remember now.
Maybe here. I think there's a lot of catch up going on. Also, yeah, so it's good to kind of get everyone back together and to have almost a meeting of both stories, you know, and almost again both serving the same purpose, a bit like Alien Invaders, where they're both on dramatically different paths, but they're all eventually building up to the same thing. And this is where it starts to converge, which I really like. Again though, and I don't want to go too deep into like things not looking scary enough or things not looking realistic enough, but you've got such a great presence within the Goblin King. Like Goblin Krudsky just looks like, I don't know, just looks so wacky and unthreatening that it's like what are they doing? They've just made an unlikable character a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
I just don't know why they would have done that. And also, we have the scene where Fred and Daphne are running away, which again, I just think I'm missing the chase songs because there's no song really there.
Yeah, we don't really have a romp in this movie, I feel like.
No, and I've really missed them. And it's like in a musical movie, like you can have the numbers, but like I just feel like maybe someone should have just been singing while there was like a scene like that going on.
Yeah.
But now we've got Shaggy and Scooby. They've been captured and they're in the dungeon. And I feel like that's never happened before. Like, you know, up until this point, they've never really been the ones to be like the ones in trouble before, I want to say.
Yeah, not really.
But like this whole interaction of them like going, oh, you know, if only we'd made it, we'd done pretty good. It was reminding me so much of the SpongeBob movie. I was like, no. Oh. Okay. So then we almost get, is it the Broom and Jack come to help Shaggy and Scooby?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, that was fun. But I feel like they kind of missed the purpose of some things there, because it was nice to see them back, but it just seems like they got rid of Jack so that Jack could come in and like, you know, and save the day without any real struggle. And it's like if they were doing that, they may as well have just kept Jack around and then found one of the magic cards to get them out of trouble. That would have been a bit better, because then you would have had that compelling character and that funny character with Shaggy and Scooby the whole time, versus just getting rid of him just to bring him back.
Just reading through.
Oh, the monstrous machine.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So, I really enjoyed seeing that because I do think it's interesting to see what they could do with the mystery machine. And I don't know, we were reading, like, when we did our box break yesterday, as of recording this, it was yesterday, that, like, the artist's favourite character of the gang was the mystery machine, and I feel like for a lot of people that might be the case.
I think this is like the second time that the mystery machine has been turned on the gang, and it's like, it's kind of sad, but I kind of like to see it. I wish that they made like a toy of this monstrous machine.
Me too.
I was going to say that same thing.
We were in the toy store not so long ago, and there was a transformer that was the colours of the mystery machine, and I saw it and picked it up thinking that it was going to be like just changing into the mystery machine, and when I realised it didn't, I would be very upset. But how cool would that have been?
That would have been awesome, especially considering that I think a lot of people know Frank Welker as someone from Transformers, and I have no idea who. I've never watched anything Transformers related, but I think they're more renowned for Transformers by like the mainstream community, because that's kind of what I'm seeing. Like, even down to that like Comic-Con appearance, it wasn't like Frank Welker from Scooby Doo, it was like Frank Welker from Transformers. So to have like a Transformers mystery machine would have been awesome.
This would have been kind of the perfect way to do it too. It's like you have the regular mystery machine, then you can transform it into the monstrous machine.
That would have been so good.
I don't know why they've not done that, because I think you can go out to the shops now and get 4 different variants of the mystery machine.
Yeah.
I kind of want to find my original, because I missed that. I don't know where it is. I don't know what happened to it. But I did weird things with that thing. Like, for some reason I'd like sharpied out the word mystery and just wrote JB. So it was just there like the JayBee machine. I don't know why I did that, but I don't know. I always get embarrassed just thinking about myself at a young age, because I don't know. I guess some of us do. So, Milly,
yeah, so from then, I've got the Scooby transforms, and I love the pumpkin collar.
Oh, but I hate how we had a hallway scene with no song.
No music, yeah.
Like, why? It's like, please, okay, if you want to have your musical numbers, do it. But why are we doing this without a song, without anything? Like, it just feels awkward. I don't understand. And obviously, then the future scene happens with the gang being turned into monsters, and it plays out exactly how we'd expect.
Did you guys catch when they're running around from the monstrous machine, it crashes into a booth that has a bunch of plushies of Scrappy?
I didn't. Oh, I'm gonna have to rewatch that now.
Yeah, so Fred's running away and like he jumps into a booth and like jumps out, and the monstrous machine just like runs into it, and all these like Scrappy plushies go flying everywhere.
See, that kind of is funny, but it also winds me up a little bit, because we know that Tim Curry was originally going to be Mondavarius, but then didn't want to be in a project with any hint of Scrappy in it, and so to have a Scrappy reference in a Tim Curry Scooby Doo movie is a bit like, you know,
right?
Like, did they just throw that in to annoy him, or was he happy that Scrappy was getting defeated? And it's like, well, if he's happy at Scrappy getting defeated, like, well, be in the 2002 movie then. So
yeah, right.
So that was fun. Although, like, for the record, I'm happy that it ended up as Rowan Atkinson, because Mr. Bean's just amazing. But I don't know, the Scrappy Easter eggs are always quite fun. Like, even watching, say, Scooby Natural, they throw in a little Scrappy thing there.
Yeah.
Let me see. So we see a hint of Jack's power in this scene. But does that destroy him? Like, what do we see? I think we see him like combust. I actually don't remember.
No, nor do I.
I think he like does some like almost Super Saiyan thing where he saves the day, and again I was thinking it was going to be a bit emotional. And Scooby turns into a green dragon. And again, I'm just thinking, like, I would have bought that as a plushie, and it just seems like a lot of these things are like missed opportunities to like make merchandise, which is alien nowadays when there's like, you know, movies that are literally just made to make merchandise.
Right.
In this case,
well,
it's
I'm like, I want figures of all the monsters. I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah, and this should really be at this point, like, Funko literally make figures out of everything, and even if they want to limit things, like, they should just do Funkos of everything.
Yeah.
And I reckon they would sell, like, even if they wanted to just make a couple of like 100,000, and then just vault them, like, they want to play it like that, like, they would sell. What else do we have here? I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I like or dislike that the gang turned back so quickly. Because it was a bit pointless, but at the same time, I think it would be a bit too... I don't know. I'm getting mixed feelings about this ending, to be honest. I think, like, especially this end conflict is probably my least favorite, my least liked part of the movie, because before we were kind of on a roller coaster ride of different things going on, and there were different like concepts to explore, and this is fun. It's just getting a bit towards the territory of, say, the ending of Where's My Mummy, where instead of a trap being set or a plan being made, it's just a free-for-all of, like, you know, this side attacking that side, and those are just a bit of a disconnect for me from that point of view.
I feel like this ending part, like, I just feel like it all happened so fast, and it's like there wasn't a whole lot of emotion, you know? It's like, okay, we saved the day type of thing, and then like everyone just left, and it was like, oh, okay, we don't have like, I mean, we kind of had a quote-unquote emotional goodbye for some, but it's just, I don't know, I just felt like this ending, everything happened so fast because they were like, crap, we're out of time, we gotta hurry and finish it.
Yeah, they had to do the daddy reveal, they had to do Krudsky getting banished, you know, oh my gosh, okay, all of that is all well and good. The daddy reference, to be honest, I kind of like it, but at the same time...
How is that her dad? She's a fairy.
Well, no, there's no...
Yeah!
No, because we are recording this in 2021, you know, things can happen. You know, maybe she was adopted, like, it's 2021 now, we can... Who knows? I mean, oh gosh, although imagine if the Goblin King...
Okay, so...
Yeah, that's just...
What else did I got with that? One moment that I like is, you know, when Jack burns out and then gets relit? But that was like, why couldn't you do that at any point in the movie? Why is this a big deal?
It's like that end scene in like Infinity War where like Wanda just comes down and like blasts everyone away, and the like Dora Milaje is like, why was she up there the whole time? It's like, come on, just like detonate him a few times and you've won.
I mean, I guess if we're talking about the ending, like... It's very... We talked about the Disney thing and, like, cliches, and I feel like the, okay, now it's over, everyone must forget, is very cliche.
But Shaggy and Scooby remember.
But at the same time, it's like... I don't want Velma to forget. She's at least done some progress. Let's not have to go through this again, please.
I mean, it is pointless. Like, I do like it a lot from one aspect where it's like... Okay, so going forward, this explains, and you know what, you could almost put this at the start of the timeline, like, because they are at, you know, at Crucible, maybe this is before they went on the mysteries, and that's why Shaggy and Scooby are so much more frightened of things than Daphne, Fred and Velma, because they knew that stuff like this could be real and the others don't. And I love the kind of like lore where if this is at the start of the timeline, or at least, you know, just after Where Are You or something like that, before they go on the road, that's perfect, because this makes their personalities make so much more sense. But at the same time, it's like, why couldn't they all remember? Or why, you know, couldn't they all just forget? And that would have been, like, why does some get to remember and some get to forget? It just seems a bit ridiculous.
I'd agree with you. But to be fair, I think it's the first one where it's almost like this Scooby movie's going to have consequences for another one. Being that some people remember, some that forget, it's like, this is something to build on.
I mean, this more than any of them that we've covered, I see it getting a sequel one day, maybe. Like, obviously, they're going to need to sort things around where they can go back to supernatural stories, or, God forbid, they make this, like, logical. But like, if there was a sequel where like the rest of the gang got their memories back, that would have been that would be cool.
And the last thing I've written that I really enjoyed was in the credits they show magic tricks for children, and they do two like, oh, this is how you do it, it's not real, and then they do one where it's like, oh, but keep guessing because like this one might be kind of thing. Yeah,
did you see that, smASH? The bonus credits is like a magician doing these tricks.
Yeah, so on my DVD, it's in the special features. It's not like it doesn't play during the movie. It's the Scooby Doo, Do You Believe in Magic's like featurette thing. But yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I want to do a video where I try them. And who is this person? Because again, we get the visual credits, which I really like. But also there's a Paulette Oates dedication.
Paulette Oates?
Yeah. And I feel bad, but I didn't actually know who that was.
I had a note. Okay, so yeah, she was dedicated in this movie. She helped resurrect Warner Brothers Animation in the late 80s, which is kind of what brought us a pup named Scooby Doo, and on Zombie Island and whatever.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't say if she passed away though. She was just dedicated in this movie.
Yeah. That's kind of weird. But again, I guess it's nice to have that acknowledgement, at least somewhere. Okay. And that wraps up my notes.
Mine too.
For this movie, at least.
smASH, anything you were wanting to add?
I just want to put a little 2 cents on the whole Shaggy and Scooby remember this, but Daphne and Fred and Velma don't remember it. I just want to say this always bugged me because I was on the side of like, why don't they get to remember? Why does Shaggy and Scooby only get to remember? And I, for the longest time, was hoping it would like come up again, you know, somehow, like Shaggy and Scooby like accidentally talk about it or something, and the gang are like, what are you talking about? We don't, what, you know, that obviously they're not remembering or something, but I don't know, it always bugged me that they did that with this movie. I always feel like, to me, it's a cop-out to do a sequel. They're like, oh, well, they don't remember it, so we don't have to do a sequel now to it, type of thing. And whereas, you know, Shaggy and Scooby remember, but the rest of the gang don't, I kind of do like the idea of maybe one day them kind of, you know, bringing it up, or, you know, like you guys were saying, somehow the rest of the gang like start to get sparks of memory from it, and then they were like, wait, what was this and whatever. And I don't know how that would turn into a movie, but that's just my little 2 cents on that. But otherwise, last little fun fact about this movie. In the trailer, it says that the release date was going to be September 16th of 2007, 8, whenever this movie released, 8.
2008.
But for whatever reason, unknown reason, the movie was released a week after it was originally intended to be. So, a little fun fact.
I guess we've not really had something like that before. I mean, I guess there's a lot of confusion nowadays about order of release. Like, I know there's been several times recently where one movie's been announced and then it seems like another movie's going to come out before that, and then the movie that was initially meant to be announced gets some more information, but then the one that was originally thought to overtake it does overtake it. Like I think, what was it? The Sword and the Scoob was meant to come out before Happy Halloween, but then Happy Halloween came out of nowhere. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and especially with internet now, it's like stuff leaks a lot earlier, and so like the Sword and the Scoob stuff got leaked way ahead of time, and so that was kind of the one we were anticipating to be next. But then we did get leaks of the Halloween one afterwards, but that one's interesting too, just random side story, because where like the Curse of the 13th goes to Happy Halloween are kind of this weird trilogy, so to say. A lot of people wondered if like the Sword and the Scoob was supposed to come out in between Return to Zombie Island and Happy Halloween to have a little break, to kind of make you forget about it and then be like, oh yeah. But then in interviews with the director and writer and producer of Happy Halloween, he has stated that like he didn't get a lot of information of what happened prior, just that he was supposed to connect it. And again, I think I brought this up in last week's episode. That's why in Happy Halloween they just all of a sudden have the Mystery Machine back with no explanation.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, that Mystery Machine stuff is kind of weird, but I suppose with all that being said,
it goes to the judgment now, right?
The what? The detriment?
No, it's like the judgments. The
verdict.
So as always, JayBee, we're gonna start with you. Scooby Doo and the Goblin King, smash or pass?
I'm a simple man. I'm just kidding. So honestly, I think this has got to be a hidden gem for me. Like, I never saw this growing up. This has nothing to do with nostalgia. And again, I feel that if there was too many movies like this, like if we'd gone fully supernatural, like there wasn't just the distinct Mook animation films where things were supernatural, and we had, a whole, it was just nothing but supernatural stuff. This would have just been another story within that lore, but because it was so out of nowhere and so like not afraid to take risks whilst also being entertaining, I have to respect this movie so much. Again, I could have done without the musical numbers, to be honest, and just a few more of the traditional songs. Like, to me, this movie's story and what this movie achieves with something like Loch Ness Monster's soundtrack, but obviously, the equivalent of it, that to me would have been an instant S-tier film. As it stands, though, it is still amazing, so I'm going to say that I will smash Scooby Doo and the Goblin King. So, Millie, would you smash or pass Scooby Doo and the Goblin King?
I mean, I think I have to agree with everything that you're saying. This is a complete hidden gem. I can't believe that I'd not seen it before. And I love it. Like, I love the music. I love the light-hearted vibe. I love the dynamic with Shaggy and Scooby. I am hard-pressed to think of something I didn't like. I didn't like the Velma fainting thing. Other than that, I'm going to say this is almost faultless for me, and it's got to be a definite smash. So, of course, that just leaves our expert, as always, the verdict that we want to hear the most. Smash, would you say smash or pass for Scooby Doo and the Goblin King?
All right, childhood story time. You love to hear it every week. So, this movie is definitely a nostalgic one for me. Again, this was right around the time when I guess was kind of getting into Scooby Doo again. Again, not that I really fell out of it, but just like looked forward to each movie's release every time and like actively was waiting for the new ones. And so I remember when this trailer dropped, I like remember where I was and what I was doing. Like I was on the couch in our like living room. My mom was on the other couch, and you know the trailer kind of popped up, and because I was on like a laptop that we had, and I was kind of like, everybody be quiet, the trailer dropped, it's time to watch. And so I watched it, and I was just like in awe of what this trailer showed and what was coming up, because again, coming from Chill Out Scooby Doo, like this was a 360 of feel, of atmosphere, of everything that it entailed. And I hyped up one of my friends that I had at the time with it. I was like, oh my gosh, look at the trailer, you know, it just dropped, like we're gonna have like real monsters and stuff again. Like I was so excited for that. I was like, it's gotta be like real supernatural this time, there's no way it's not, and stuff. And so then the day that it released, my parents had gone somewhere, I don't even know where. So one of my sisters, once I got off of school, came home and whatever, I like kind of was like, okay, you know, mom and dad aren't here, so you have to take me to the store to go get it. It is not an option, we're going. So I remember we went, and she trusted me to go in alone and get it. So I went into the store, picked it up, and came out, and then I came back home, and my friend like called me, you know, because it was before like, you know, we had cell phones and stuff, and you know, he's all like, did you get it? Like, can I come over and watch yet and stuff? So we watched it, we loved it the instant we watched it, and then I was like addicted to it for a long while. At the time we had this like surround sound setup in what we call the bonus room, which is kind of like a game room or like a second living room type thing. Anyway, so we had our surround sound system set up, and one day I remember coming home from school, and like I was home alone, like nobody else was home, and I put the DVD in and went to the Goblin Oogie Boogie song and just like full blast the surround sound, just like dancing to it. And one of my friends came over, he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, dancing to the Oogie Boogie song, like come on, get into it. And anyway, I will say though, with more rewatches over the years, this movie has downgraded for me. I don't love it as much as I originally did, but it is one that I always have to watch every year during Halloween time. Like, this is obviously a heavy, like, Halloween feeling atmosphere movie, and so, you know, every October I always have to pull this one out amongst my Halloween movies, and that's honestly really the only time I do watch this one. I don't really watch it outside of October, but I kind of do that too to make it a little more special. You know, it's like, oh, this is a special Halloween Scooby Doo movie, so you gotta watch it, you know, kind of like Christmas movies type thing, you know, it's a Halloween movie, so I gotta watch it during that time. So, although it has downgraded, like I said, over the years, I definitely still do think that this, like you guys said, is kind of a hidden gem within some Scooby movies. I feel like, unfortunately, with all the get buried, because people want it to be kind of buried down and not, you know, recognized or talked. They don't love all the aspects to it, which, to be fair, yeah, this movie does have some downfalls, but I will say this, if you're gonna do a Shaggy and Scooby misadventure, this is how you do it, and still include the gang, you know, within the story. Like, this this is one of the best examples of how you do a Shaggy and Scooby misadventure. So overall, I will definitely smash this one as well.
Hey, so we have a full house of smashes. Oh, that actually sounds like a great party, but that is amazing. And oh, this is amazing because I kind of feel that there's going to be instances now, at least moving beyond this movie into, say, Samurai Sword and others, that I wouldn't be surprised if we get a lot more divisive with things, like times where one of us is smashing, the other one's passing. So I don't know, I kind of feel that we're exiting safe waters at this point, at least, because things are going to become quite new. And I just feel like things are going to be amazing. So I guess just some quick things to wrap things up on. Of course, next time it is Scooby Doo and the Samurai Sword, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll look forward to that. Now, Smash, has there been any Scooby news this week? Like any announcements? Any Courage news or anything?
Yeah, there were actually 2 things that happened today as of recording this. So, like, you know, when you guys are listening to this, it either might be old news or you might already have obtained some of these things. But to start off, a handful of screenshots from the new Straight Outta Nowhere Scooby Doo Meets Courage the Cowardly Dog movie kind of leaked. Someone found some screenshots of the movie that we haven't seen before. Actually, while recording this, I just posted one of them, one of the ones that I could find over on Twitter, because they're kind of clumped together, so you can't really get a full-size image of these, you know, screenshots from the movie. But I was able to find one of them separately and posted it. So that's fun. Gives us a little more insight and feel on that movie, which will be coming out, you know, in like a month and a half. And then not only that, but today also out of nowhere, but Simple Plan, the band who performed the What's New Scooby Doo theme song, they also had a song in Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, but they finally were able to release the studio version of the What's New Scooby Doo theme song on digital platforms, on streaming platforms. So that drops tonight as of recording this, so we will finally be able to officially add that theme song to our music library without, you know, like listening to it on YouTube and whatever. So that's going to be super exciting. I'm really excited. Just a few more hours until that drops.
That is absolutely incredible. And I think that's one of my favorite theme tunes. So it's great to see that happening, especially so, you know, I guess late on from that series as well. So it definitely gives me hope for some new things being announced on some of the releases too. I guess I kind of want to say a huge thank you to the great reception on the live stream we did. You know, usually Millie and I only live stream the Pokemon stuff as a bit of like a safety blanket. It's like worst case scenario, people are going to be showing up to a live Pokemon unboxing to see, like, just to scan in the codes. And even though that's kind of a bit disheartening, it's also like we don't feel like we're streaming to the void. But that Scooby-Doo live stream we did was actually one of my favorites, and it's like, it was amazing. And the fact that it was such a one-time thing, because the others, like, I don't know if you've seen the eBay listings for them, but they can go for some crazy money.
I know, that was exciting. I tried to hop in, and I felt a little bad because I was like trying to listen, but my girlfriend Mariah and I, we were actually playing a Scooby-Doo board game while you guys were doing a live stream, so I like turned it on my phone and you know, had it playing while we were playing the board game. But I thought that was really fun and really cool. I honestly never knew that those cards existed until you guys started posting about them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it would have been like you know, crazy hype for one of the autograph ones, but those like sketch cards, the fact that they're so limited, like that was a great thing, and to showcase the Pogo Scooby as well was just awesome. Like, again, I don't think we're ever going to get another one of those boxes. Like, it would be at least 5 years, 10 years down the line, if they even are still around by then, until we can entertain that, because we got ours relatively cheaply. But yeah, for like a one-time thing, I had a great time. And I guess in terms of our thing, unless Milly's got some news, that's kind of all I've got to say.
No, that's good for me.
Yeah, so again,
the heatwave's taking over. And...
yeah, like, it's mad. So maybe this would have been a good time to watch Chill Out Scooby Doo, so we could have like fantasized about rolling around in some of the snow. But yeah, I guess that does it for another episode of Smash or Pass. Thank you so much for the amazing reception on this series. And if you do want to hear more from Smash, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me over on Twitter and Instagram. It's just at Ashton Hardy _. And of course, over on YouTube, I am smASH. But if you just search Ashton Hardy, it should be one of the first ones that pop up.
Thank you so much, and of course that'll be linked down in the description below. So yeah, thank you, and please like, comment and subscribe to JayBee, Milly and smASH.